That's what it is. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. Happy Football Friday, everybody. And it is Eagles-Dallas week. Finally, it's here. Yeah, I'm such a hypocrite. After tinkling all day yesterday on the potential of a rivalry where I just totally disregarded and dismissed the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going to do that today, too, because I don't think there's any way the Eagles can lose this game. I've tried to look at this game 100 different ways. I've tried to look at, it's home game. Dallas hasn't really been that successful. Maybe this is the game they're successful at home. Cooper Rush, he's kind of a mystery man in the Eagles. He usually plays well when he has to start. Maybe he's more of a game manager than Dak Prescott. Maybe they'll believe a little more in him. Maybe the Cowboys will stay close in this game. Can you really actually fathom that the Eagles, the way they're playing right now, could go to Dallas and lay an egg against this team that stinks? They're struggling. They got all kinds of disarray. The head coach is about to walk the plank. They've got no running backs to speak of. They only got two guys to catch the football for Cooper Rush. So I'm going, how is it possible that the Dallas Cowboys can win this game? Which means I'm looking at Dallas losing twice to the Eagles this year. Normally I go, it's a split. I can't imagine that the Cowboys could beat the Eagles even once this year. They're a bad team. They're right now a bad franchise. And so I'm ready to roar here. Eagles 7.5-point favorite. I think they win this by double digits. The gang's here. Bill Colarulo's here. Ray Dunn is here. We're going to get into some statistics on why I think this is a mismatch. Because all the statistics, Dallas statistics are all mid. There's nothing that they do that well that I go, okay, what can they do against the Eagles here? What's their strength? And I tried to extrapolate all the data last night, and I couldn't come up with anything. So let's go to Mr. Football, Mr. Touchdown, as we call him around here. Bill Colarulo.
Mr.
Touchdown USA.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Mike, normally I would say don't jinx it, but I'm right there with you.
Don't jinx it. I love it. I love you go down the same path of these idiot tweeters.
Yes, they say don't jinx it.
Don't jinx it, Mike. You're a jinx. You're Mikey Mush.
But I'm with you on this. There's no reason why this Eagles team shouldn't dominate the Dallas Cowboys. We've been saying it for a long time on this show that the Cowboys weren't going to be a good team this season. They've proven that this year. And it's not just the offense. I know everyone's going to look at Cooper Rush and say they're without Dak Prescott. Their defense is terrible. And it sets up for exactly what the Eagles have been doing well, which is running the football. You're talking about a Cowboys defense that's given up close to 150 yards on the ground a game. They're not going to be able to stop this high-powered Eagles rushing attack that's averaging 175 a game. Simply that matchup alone, the Eagles should dominate. And then you go to the Cowboys offense, and they are going to have a backup quarterback. So what usually do you try to lean on with a backup quarterback? Your running game. The Cowboys can't run the football. They're only averaging 82 yards a game. So this game really sets up as there's no reason why the Eagles shouldn't go down there, dominate this game. What I'm hoping for is they're up big in the fourth quarter, and you could rest these guys because you got a bigger matchup coming up Thursday night against Washington, short week. It'd be nice to go down to the Dallas, take care of business in the first three quarters, and then get all these guys off their feet.
Let me build a chain link fence here of statistics. The Cowboys are 29th in passer rating allowed. Last week, Jalen Hurts was at 132.3. The Cowboys' run defense, they allow 4.6 yards per carry. That's right in there. That's 18th in the league. What are the Eagles doing best right now? They're running the football. The Cowboys allow 28.1 points per game, which is 31st in the league. In the red zone, they are dead last in the league. And meanwhile, okay, can they outscore the Eagles? Their offense is 20th in the league at 21.4 points per game. And now Cooper Rush against an Eagles secondary. Cooper Rush against an Eagles secondary that allows only an 82.3 rate to quarterbacks. Now, you tell me, try to wedge your way into that little chain and tell me where the Eagles could possibly lose this game.
I don't think they could possibly lose it, but to just play devil's advocate here, Micah Parsons hasn't played for the Cowboys the last 4 games, and he's trending towards playing in this game. And Micah Parsons has the ability to turn a game upside down. If he can make some plays. Now, I don't think he will, but he's going to be going up against Fred Johnson, who's the backup left tackle, who got a little bit banged up. Does he take over the game? I don't see it happening, and I think that's why it's even more important to run the football. But, if you start dropping back and Parsons is able to get pressure on Hurts and create some turnovers, that's really the only way an inferior team stays in it, is by taking it away.
Hurts was sacked 3 times last week, and the Cowboys get to him. Maybe Mike could get some pressure on him. I don't know. The Cowboys sacked Cousins a couple times last week, but I don't think Micah Parsons is going to be enough of a difference for the Cowboys. Let's look at their offense and what they could possibly do. Here are their skill players: Cooper Rush, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, Rico Dowdle.
Yeah,
and now you tell me, is that enough?
And then we talk about how old the Sixers are. Look how old the Cowboys' running game is when you got Zeke and Dalvin Cook behind them. They would have been great a few years ago.
And they're finished. Both of those guys are finished. So Dowdle is the guy that they have to rely on.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to establish the run. They're not. And I'll tell you what, last night I watched that Bengals-Ravens game.
A good game, wasn't it?
Phenomenal game. But how do you not watch that game as an Eagles fan feeling better about this Eagles defense? Did you see what Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase did against that Ravens defense? And you essentially shut them down as an Eagles defense. So I know we're looking at some of the competition. Oh, well, the Eagles D, they only played Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones and Deshaun Watson. They shut down the Bengals, and the Bengals looked like a high-powered offense last night. Jamar Chase had over 200 yards receiving.
Burrow had a good game against the Eagles.
Yeah, but not anywhere near what he did last night. What did he put up against the Eagles? Let me see. I'm going to pull it up.
Yeah, he had a decent game against the Eagles.
Joe Burrow against the Eagles. 222 yards passed.
Oh, really? That was it?
That was it. They only gave up 280 yards. The Eagles gave up 222 in the air and 58 on the ground to the Cincinnati Bengals, who you saw last night put up 470 yards of offense, over 420 yards in the air. Got to feel good about this Eagles D right now.
The Eagles are somehow have pulled themselves by the bootstraps out of the negativity that we surrounded them with earlier, just a few scant weeks ago. All of a sudden, now they're on a roll, and I don't expect that to end Sunday. I think they'll go to 7-2, and then we're looking at, oh my God, what is happening here? Is this really a good team? And you said it last week. You believe that this team, before they even set foot on this field Sunday, is a Super Bowl contender.
I don't understand how anyone could think otherwise. You've seen a team that's not only 6-2, that should be 7-2 after this weekend. You've seen them get better every single week. You're seeing this group ascend. You're seeing them, they're getting healthy. The offense is getting more familiar with Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is getting more familiar with his personnel. They're finding a recipe that works. But then you go to the other side, the thing that everybody had questions about coming in, which was the defense. These young guys are only going to get better. This group is only going to get better. Look at Zach Baun and what he's been able to do. I expect him to get better. Now you're seeing the Kobe Dean play well. I think that Eagles fans should be a lot more excited than they are. And I'm surprised that I haven't experienced the buzz over the last couple of weeks. We haven't been getting those type of calls. I know a lot of it is focused on the head coach, who we'll hear from later today at 11:40. But even with Nick Sirianni, whether you like him or not, you can't deny that this team's got some exceptional talent on both sides of the football. And look around the NFC, Mike. I know everyone keeps looking at the Lions. I don't think they're unbeatable. So when you say Super Bowl contender, you got to look around the NFC. Is there any team where you would say, you know what, in a playoff game, 0 chance. Eagles would have 0 chance. No, they could beat anybody with the weapons you have. And with Saquon Barkley now in your backfield, and you add in AJ and Devontae and Dallas Goedert, they can keep up with anybody. So I think fans should start to get excited. This is a true contender in the NFC.
I can't go that far yet.
What's holding you back?
I don't know.
What's holding you back?
I don't know. I need to see more. I've been at this too long, man, to go, they're a Super Bowl contender. All right, I need more. Right now, I'm good. Right now, they should roll this team they're playing. They're 7.5-point favorites. Somebody else is building, for crying out loud.
In a building they haven't won in 6 straight games.
Right. So I go, okay, this is, I can't think that Cooper Rush is going to beat this team right now. And then we'll just take it from there, a week at a time. But Nick Sirianni will take it today at 11:40. Big show on Football Friday. We'll have our NFL picks. We'll have Tim McManus analyze what's going to happen on Sunday and where this Eagles team is. And, of course, our 10 o'clock hour is brought to us by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, you make no down payment, no payments, and no interest for 12 full months if you call 866-90-NATION or go online to windownation.com. It is the Mike Missanelli Show, back after this. The Sixers playing Saturday and then Tuesday, right?
Yes, they got what are on tonight against
tonight.
the Lakers.
Oh, that's right.
Tonight
against
and
the Lakers.
Sunday.
Oh, yeah, tonight. So
Yeah.
they're going to get demolished tonight.
Well, you don't believe in Jared McCain's going to
No,
show
in
up
fact,
against
I
Bronny?
almost want to bet $1 million on a money line here with the Lakers, but it's such a high money line.
Yeah, it is.
So they're going to lose again tonight, and then they have a win in front of them. Right?
Well, do you think
They have a win Sunday.
can you say anything's a win with this team?
Well, they're playing the Hornets.
Dude, they lost to the Pistons.
I get it, but I think they'll beat the Hornets as they go into Tuesday's game with Joel Embiid. You know, and I'm curious to know. I know this is a Football Friday, but I'm curious to know how people feel about Embiid right now. You know, he has gone from a total fan favorite to now this other guy where he tried to make people feel bad. He pushed a reporter. Like usually fans line up to protect the player. I'm wondering how they feel now about it. Do they have the same protective cocoon around Joel Embiid, or are they more, I don't know, they don't know what to feel?
See, as much as I said I don't agree with making it physical with the reporter, and I know you said that, look, every once in a while
You got to take a beating.
you got to take a beating.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I didn't agree that he made it physical, I think most fans, and we'll find out if people check in, but I think most fans agreed with Joel and are rallying behind him now. In a lot of respects, the frustration that was directed towards Joel for not being ready or not being in good enough shape to play, whatever it was, I think people now are like rallying behind him because it was like, yeah, you know what? That guy came after your family. Good job, Joel, standing up for yourself. Yeah, he's going to play on Tuesday. I think people are coming around.
You think that? I'm not getting that vibe. I'm not getting the vibe that they're 100% behind Joel right now. And I don't know what it is. I don't think it has anything to do with him shoving the reporter. I think that most people don't care about that. But you know, only people care about that are people in the media, like you, and the righteous people who profess outrage that you can't put your hands on somebody. But I think in general, people don't give a flip that he pushed a reporter.
I think most people were like, yeah, good for you.
Yeah. So I'm feeling kind of an ambivalence now of a lack of excitement, even when he's coming back. Because I think people go, all right, he's coming back. Does this make the Sixers a contender even when he comes back? I think there are two angles here. Number one, I think Joel Embiid is wearing on the fan base. And number two, they're not sure that even when he's back, this team is going to be good enough.
But is that because of Joel or because of the fact now that Maxi's out?
Well, that's all part of it. We are now conditioned to think and actually to know that like this whole thing of them playing together is just basically a wish that we're going to have to put up with the whole year of load management, guys getting banged up and having to sit out a couple weeks, this and that. And they fear, this is just my feeling, they fear a fragmented season that may not pay dividends at the end.
You're not wrong, because it's crazy that we went from a majority of the fans when they signed Paul George and made the moves that they made, saying they got a shot to compete, to yesterday on Twitter, some of the phone calls we got of fans actually saying, should they tank? I mean, you talk about the 180.
Exactly. Now, there's a big game coming up Tuesday. He's coming back Tuesday. Are you feeling any buzz for it?
No. Well, because your fans know Maxi's not playing. And they probably also assume Joel's is going to be rusty. He's going to be on a minutes restriction. You're right. I don't think there's a buzz. But look, even last season, Joel's dropping 70 in a game, and what we heard was, wake me up in the playoffs. So I feel like now with Maxey being hurt and the way the season started and the tone of the season, as you indicated when it started, I think fans are even more checked out because it's like
I don't know if it's being checked out as much as it is. There is. I mean, listen. I put my weather vane out there every now and then. There's a lack of trust in how good this team can be. There's just a lack of trust because the fan base has now been pummeled. They're like the side of beef that Rocky is hitting about this team. Like they don't know what to do. Like they can't count on the premise, because the premise originally was, these three guys are going to bond together, going to play together, and it's going to lessen the load of Embiid, blah, blah, blah. Now, that whole premise is being doubted.
Yeah.
Because I think we know that he is a fragile vase, and so is George, that you can't count on that big three premise for most of the year. And I think people are now ambivalent to the Sixers when it should have been the other way. This is the problem. When I started talking about this, is not a good tone. Like the tone had to be set for this project that they put together to work. And now the project has been kind of like, I don't know, interrupted.
Yeah, you make a good point, too, because not everyone agreed with the plan of trying to win, which is the big three. And you're seeing now, through the first 7 games, the team around them is nowhere near good enough to carry anybody. So now you got to go through the whole season, fingers crossed, Paul George doesn't get hurt. Joel doesn't have any setbacks. Now you got to worry about Maxey. They don't have any depth. I mean, it's the big three and then a bunch of older players. Even though I do like Caleb Martin and you don't, but
I have all the guys to pick out as being a key guy. You pick out Caleb Martin. I just don't get your affection for Caleb Martin.
Right,
he's okay.
Well, let's look at it. Outside of the big three, who's your next best player?
He's a dime a dozen player.
Well, who would you say is the best player on the Sixers?
It's a collective group that's supposed to do. Like, you can't look at guys individually and go, he would just be a piece of a wheel. But the wheel is like has a leak in it right now.
It does, but
He's not going to save you.
No, but I like him as a piece in the wheel. But they don't have. I mean, outside of those three guys, there's no one that you see stepping up in a big moment to carry.
But let's look at the bigger picture here. People doubt, and you could take this lack of trust into doubt for whether the organization knows what they're doing.
So you're losing trust in your boy Dow?
I look at it and I go, okay, he went with this premise last year of building a bench. Everybody said the same thing. Oh, look at that. He accumulated all these pro players. They're going to be deeper on the bench. He did the same thing this year. But the same thing lacks. No young energy.
Well, we're going to see what McCain's got over the next couple of weeks because I'm assuming he'll step in.
McCain is not going to save you this year.
No.
I'm talking about young energy, a guy that comes in and brashly produces. 610-632-0970. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I'm not getting the sense that Sixer fans are like, they're staying back. Mike Missanelli Show. Football Friday, by the way. We're back after this. So here's how you get in. 610-632-0975. You can send text to that number as well. So last night, I happened to be watching innocuous television, and I get a text. And it's a photo text, Ray.
Oh.
From Bill Colarulo.
Oh.
With the street sign in my hometown of Bristol, PA.
How about that?
With a photo of the wharf where CBS Morning Show interviewed me for the Coldest Murder podcast. And he's got the wharf in the background and the street sign in the front. And I'm going, what are you, I thought it was a stock photo. I go, are you in Bristol? The hell are you doing in Bristol? I don't even go to Bristol. What were you doing in Bristol?
So I got home, and my wife said, you know what? You don't spend enough time with Mike Missanelli. I think we should go on the Mike Missanelli tour to see where he's from so you get a better understanding. Now, my wife is 7 months pregnant, as everybody knows if they listen to the show, and she had a little bit of a craving. She wanted to go to a restaurant she likes in Bristol on Mill Street. It's called Itchy. So when my baby wants something, we're going. So we got in the car. We went, had pizza, cheesesteaks.
From Cherry Hill to Bristol to have pizza and cheesesteaks?
That's right, man. Hey.
That's the oddest thing I've ever heard.
When your 7-month pregnant wife says she wants something, you make it happen.
And you pick that place.
She likes it
Bristol.
there. Yeah, well, she likes it there. She's got clients from there who have told her about it, and we've been there before. So we went there. It was worth it, man. The pizza's good. The cheesesteak's good. And then while we were there, I sent you that picture, and then I said, you know what? I want to see
the church.
The church where the Coldest Murder podcast is based.
You drove past the church.
Drove past the church, and it was eerie. Just knowing what happened there.
Yeah.
Was very eerie. And then we went past your street because I texted you. You said, well, my old street's right up the road.
It's right up the road. You make a left. There's a place called Caesar's Pizza on the corner. That was the street I grew up on.
Yep. So we went past that. I got to tell you,
a couple of bars down at the end of the street.
That Mill Street in Bristol, it's a nice street.
Well, that used to be the Mecca for shopping, right? And then obviously it got phased out with all the malls that came in, the whole bit. And they're trying to rebuild it at the town.
Yeah, it's
trying
a cool
to rebuild
street.
the town. That town got a grant of $500,000 in a contest from that guy that's on the Shark Tank.
Who? Kevin O'Leary?
Hertzevek.
Oh, okay.
Had this contest of a small town that could use a boost.
I got to be honest with you. I mean, putting it into perspective, $500,000 for a town's not that much.
Well, they did make good things with it.
Yeah, I mean, they really did.
They used it.
There's some
wisely.
cool.
I think it was more. I don't know. Maybe
Dude, but last night
maybe it was $2 million. Yeah, maybe it was.
It was probably more. Yeah. But last night I was shocked because we go there for the restaurant. They had live music going on the street. There was a woman with a guitar out front of a store singing.
Yeah.
Tons of restaurants, places to eat.
Let's get to the crux of the matter. You, Mr. Health.
Oh, yeah, not last night.
Did an entire... You split a pizza with your wife. First of all, let's talk about the pizza choice. You ordered Detroit pizza?
I wanted to try it. So they have regular pizza there, but they also have a Detroit style.
Detroit style pizza.
Very thick.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Very thick.
It's not something I would ever choose.
Well, I'll tell you, I love Chicago style. So I like the deep dish of Chicago
what the
style.
hell is wrong with you?
So I went with the Detroit style.
A Chicago deep dish style in a town that we're in the Mecca of pizza in the Northeast? You go with that?
So I'll tell you exactly what I said to my wife when we ordered. I said, look, 95% of the time, I want the traditional style pizza, but 5% of the time, I want to change it up, and I wanted to try the Detroit style. Not a smart move on our part, though, because this pizza was deep dish, extra cheesy, and we got cheesesteaks on top of it.
Why don't you just order lasagna and like get it over with? You know, well, I don't understand the deep dish pizza concept of Chicago and Detroit.
Oh, I love Chicago
when New York style pizza is the Mecca of pizza.
Yeah, but you could have New York style everywhere. You can't get Detroit style.
Right. How you feeling about the pizza choice that Bill made? Detroit style. In a little Italian town.
It leaves a little to be desired. Let me ask you,
when was the last time you had Detroit style?
I don't know if I've ever had Detroit.
Exactly.
I've had Chicago. In Chicago.
So did I. Lou Malnati's, good spot in Chicago.
I don't know.
But Ray, if you go to a restaurant or a place and they have Detroit-style pizza as an option, I'm like, you know what? Yeah. We drove all the way here. Why not?
I don't get it.
Like,
I don't get it. Listen, Italians produce Sicilian pizza, which is a thick crust, but pizza to me, like, I don't know why you would go outside the realm of the Northeast corridor.
I would go
order your
Sicilian before I go Detroit.
With these Fugazi people out there to try to reinvent pizza and make it a deep dish.
Well, the Detroit style is similar to a Sicilian pie.
It is, but it's not.
Extra cheesy.
It's over, it bubbles over, and it's too much cheese.
But the cheesesteak was phenomenal.
So you went cheesesteak and an overly cheesy.
Yes, Mr. Health.
Oh.
Well, so my wife, we sit down.
Mr. Yogurt.
We sit down, and my wife says, all right, well, why don't we get a regular flat crust pizza? We'll split that, and we'll split a cheesesteak. And I said, who said anything about splitting? You get your own. So I ordered my own cheesesteak.
So you notice how the beginning of this story, you were husband of the year for driving from Cherry Hill
Then I
to
got selfish.
Bristol, and then you tell that part of the story, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, because she went chicken cheesesteak, which if I'm going cheesesteak, I'm going regular cheesesteak.
Sometimes you get a good chicken cheesesteak.
And it was good. Hers looked good, but.
Oh, well, thanks for stopping by my old town.
Yeah.
Imagine getting a text. I go, what the hell? Ratcliffe Street? What is he doing?
Yes.
What is this?
It took us about a half hour each way.
That's a road trip for you, man.
He's becoming more and more like you every day, Mike.
I don't know what's going on.
But I will say, you talk about Mr. Health. Before we went, I left here. I went home, got a good workout in, had a protein shake, showered up, then went to dinner. So I felt like I earned the cheesesteak and pizza. I worked out first.
You didn't have to justify it to us, and you really didn't have to brag that, oh, look what I did. But thanks. I'm glad. I feel better now knowing that happened.
Did you have a drink last night, too?
Nah.
Oh, you're anti-drink? No wine?
Nah, I just
You didn't
know.
have a glass of wine with the pizza?
I didn't. Well, I know tomorrow I'm going to be drinking because I got that golf tournament, and it's more of like a fun tour. Normally, I don't drink on the course, but it's like one of those fun golf tournaments.
Can't mess up the protein shake.
So, the wife just checked in the YouTube chat.
Oh, she did? What does she have to say?
No, she's just saying hi. I don't know if she missed us talking about it.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like she had to have heard
checking
a
in,
little
saying
bit of
hi
what happened.
to hi to husband Bill.
No, she's talking to her
so-
fans in the chat.
It's so cute. They're cute, right?
So cute.
Hi.
Look at the two of them.
It's my girl.
That's good.
I'll tell you what, being happy is a very good thing.
Put them on the cover of People magazine. Why
All
don't
the people
you?
that are miserable are going, people. All the people out there are going,
Put us on the cover of
I
Muscle
hate-
Fitness.
I hate hearing Bill's Hallmark card speeches every day.
Yeah, they're probably like, I want you miserable like me. Hey, listen, if it makes you feel better, I got divorced once, so I earned this one.
You have a real incredible ability to just keep talking.
He eventually buries himself.
He does.
It
It was really sweet, and then he just did it again.
What I'm saying is those people out there who say you should be miserable like me, I was at one point.
Did the wife say hi to me?
You saying hi, babe? Say hi to Mike, miss.
But she has to say hi, babe, to me. Cisco,
Or Billy sometimes she'll say.
Cisco and Bluebell. Cisco, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Cisco.
Hello, sir. Let me take you off speaker, sir.
Yes, thank you.
All right, I'm here. Mike,
Yes, sir.
this Embiid thing, I've been anti-Embiid for about 3 or 4 years. I'm one of those guys who say, just blow it up, Sixers. Just blow it up.
Yeah, but
You
can't do that, and you know it. So let's deal with what we have with him. So you're not.
We can't
Have you
do that
lost your?
because of
You lost your thing for Embiid?
I just told you 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh man!
I think
well,
Embiid-
how could you do that
he's a
3 or 4
diva.
years ago? Like I could see now you'd be frustrated, but 3 or 4 years ago.
No. I've been there. Look, Mike, just listen to me for a second.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think he's a winner. I think he's a diva. How do you play for Team USA and you can't play for Team Philly? How do you do that? We are the people who are paying for his salary, but he can play for Team USA for free. Really? Are you serious?
Listen, I hear that. I hear it. I was not happy with either that he didn't get himself ready for the season that really counts.
That really messed me up.
Yeah.
That pushed me further away from him. You just don't do that to the city. This is Philadelphia. This is not L.A. This is not Atlanta. This is the northeastern quarter city like Boston, New York.
But
You don't do that.
Cisco, let me ask you, though, to play devil's advocate here. Isn't technically Philadelphia in the United States? So when you say, he he's got to play for us. Isn't he technically playing for us at the USA?
No, he's
winning
not.
the gold.
No, he's
Of
not.
course he's not.
No, stop it, Bill.
Come on.
And you're wrong about the pizza.
He played
too.
on that team.
And
for
you're
the-
wrong
for
about the pizza,
for the
too.
ego part
You're
of
wrong
it.
about the pizza too. I've been to Italy, and I had their pizza, and it's the thin crust pizza in Italy.
Well,
You
you
don't
can't do
eat
better
it.
than that with the wood fire.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You
Cisco.
can't. And the Chicago and Detroit pizza is nothing but bread.
But
That's all it is.
But we're talking about him playing for Team USA. And again, I said I was playing devil's advocate. I thought if he could have been healthy, I agree with you. But I liked him playing in the Olympics, assuming he was going to be healthy. I thought it would be good for him to be around all these guys.
I didn't care. I haven't watched the Olympics in years. And furthermore, Steve Kerr was saying he looked like he was out of shape when he was running through the practice game.
Oh, they nursed him through the Olympics because they had respect the fact that he plays for the Sixers, and they didn't want to run him into the ground. I didn't have a problem with that. The only problem I had was there were a couple of months after the Olympics that I thought that you could have gotten yourself ready to play at the start of the season. That's the only thing that has rankled me here. And it was like it was an afterthought. It was approached by him, the organization, the coaching staff. It's an afterthought. They set a bad tone that you don't have to be ready for the start of the season. And that's what bugged me most of all.
Now, if he comes out on Tuesday against the Knicks, absolutely balls out, puts the team on his back, they win.
It's going to help.
Right? I mean, isn't that going to start to change it?
No, because
a little bit?
because he's going to play probably 50 games most, and so you're going to have to roll with this all year. This is what I'm talking about, like the lack of continuity that we're going to have to expect is that nursing these guys through an entire regular season. Yeah, well, yeah, he may. I don't know if he's going to explode on Tuesday night. He might.
Yeah.
Who knows? But. Yeah, the point is that you can't really count that that's going to be the norm.
Yeah, I know they're still going to load manage him. It's just that caller said he wanted to blow things up. And you said, you can't do that.
You can't.
So that's the only reason why I try to take a step back. And as frustrating as the whole situation is, I try to take a step back and think, all right, if you can't blow things up.
You got to live with it.
Exactly. And if you've seen Joel have issues with the knee, and now we believe that this is going to be a permanent thing that he's just going to have to deal with the rest of his career, I have to trust the medical staff into saying, all right, this is how they're going to approach it.
Fine. You got to have to live with it. However, don't you feel that the fans are kind of held hostage here? That's the thing. I look at it and I go, okay, you're going to have to live with it. Now, most of the people earlier, like several weeks ago, were totally on board. I was the only one that was bucking this trend. Mike, you're wrong. You got to preserve him for the playoffs. And everybody bought into that narrative. Now, we'll see how you like it, that when this narrative proceeds through an entire season. We'll see. We'll see the level of trust that you have that this team could actually be a challenger for something.
If Joel plays 50 games, do you think that's enough for them to build some sort of cohesive unit as a team, assuming Maxey comes back in a couple weeks?
I don't know. I can't tell you that it's not. I tell you, I don't feel good about it. That's all I think. It may work like a miracle. Like their plan goes to a T. They've load managed them, and he kicks your ass in the playoffs. And they face the Boston Celtics for the Eastern Conference Championship. They're not going to win that, but they face them at least.
Then you're on board?
Yes, they still haven't won a title.
Yeah.
To me, to win a title, there's got to be a season-long dedication to a groove that you find in being a championship team. And Celtics have found it the last 2 years.
I know, man. We're in a situation where if you don't hold out hope right now, I can't get on board with them completely wasting Embiid's career. Something has to happen. This is why I was all for them going and getting Paul George, even though he's 34. Your window's what, 3 years? With Joel, you think 3 more years where he's going to play at an extremely high level?
Yeah.
Is there a chance in the next 3 years they can be better than Boston? Because you know it's going to be Embiid, George, and Maxey for the next 3.
Very good question. Let me ask you this. Right now, you look at the two franchises. Now, we haven't seen anything with the Sixers yet. We haven't seen the experiment played out in full. Are they better than the Cleveland Cavaliers?
They don't look it right now.
Project.
I think they can
When
be better than
everybody's
Cleveland.
together, are they better than Cleveland?
I think they can be better than Cleveland.
You think so? But
It all depends,
Here's
though.
the thing: the Cleveland Cavaliers are building something. There is a togetherness that they put together this year, and that's from playing with each other.
But you knew when the way the season went last year that everything that Daryl Morey did was essentially set up for this offseason that they just had. So I get it. You want to build a team and you want the continuity. That wasn't going to be possible because you were setting everything up to make a run this offseason to go get the big name free agent, which you did. And then you had to revamp your bench because you really had nobody under contract outside of Joel and Maxey.
I get it, but you're making my point. Continuity has to start at the beginning. And it didn't start at the beginning. And so now the season has started, and now you're going to try to find some continuity. Well, now Maxey's hurt. Now Paul George is going to get hurt soon. And Embiid's going to get load managed. How many minutes do you think he's going to play Tuesday?
Less than 30. Yeah. Maybe 25.
So what's he going to give you?
Maybe 20 points in 25 minutes.
That going to be enough to win?
Probably not. That's why
We'll see.
you're thinking they're going to beat Charlotte without him. I don't even know.
I think they'll beat Charlotte.
Oh, Mike, before you go to
You can't beat Charlotte. Nick Nurse stinks as a coach. All right? Really.
Well, I'm ready for that.
With the team you have left, you should be able to have enough players to beat Charlotte, even though Maxey's not there.
And before we go to the phones, how about this? Annie on the YouTube chat. I know you're past the topic of Itri, but I'm the GM, and I wanted to say thank you for the shout-out and glad you enjoyed the food. The Detroit is awesome. So thanks, Annie, for checking in. How about it? Itri's listening to the show.
How about Annie send an invitation to somebody who's actually a townie?
Mike's getting jealous,
How about that?
Annie.
How about invite me down there?
Maybe me and
Bill
you'll have to go.
Colarulo, the hero of Bristol.
The hero of Bristol right here on the station.
No one's champion Bristol.
A town that birthed me, and I can't even get any acclaim.
Billy Bristol right here.
Oh, that's good.
And the cheesesteak was good, Annie. We had the cheesesteaks, too, because she's saying you got to check out the cheesesteaks. How about it? Look at me being the hero of Bristol today.
It's about time you end up on the right side of food conversation
I know who owns that place. All right?
We'll have to
He
go.
would invite me personally. His father's like the Mr. Bristol, the guy that owns it.
All right, well, you and I will go once.
Mr.
And
Bristol before
maybe
Bill.
Ray if he plays his cards right.
Okay. We're up against a break. So, Darnell, well, I don't even know how to pronounce that next one. What is
Dantes.
that? Dantes?
I think.
Dantes, Jules, David, you guys hang in there. We will get to you right away as we come out of this break. A lot more people want to talk about the Sixers and the Eagles today because there's no angle to the Eagles. Right? There's just not an angle. They're gonna smash this team.
It's crazy. It's Cowboys week, Mike. It's Cowboys week.
It's Cowboys week, and again, I'm telling you, it's not Cowboys week. There's no more intrigue to that. They're dead to me. Mike Missanelli show continues. On the Mike Missanelli Show. And the Grungo Law gives us the 11 o'clock hour. It's your law firm when you need help because of an injury. Pray for peace. Prepare for trial. Grungo Law, GRUNGO.com. We're going to get to the phones and get Nick Sirianni coming up at 11:40. A little later in the show, we'll have NFL picks, but also something I want to do today just to go into the weekend, have a little fun. And it's called Rate the Announcers.
I like it.
So we're going to go to the TV broadcast of the three sports. Well, we can't do football because that's national. So when you watch your television, the sports of the Flyers and the Sixers and the Phillies, we're going to let you rate the announcers.
And did you see, speaking of announcers, the sad news with Herb Street yesterday?
Oh, his dog died?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had put him to sleep.
Yeah, that dog traveled with him everywhere.
Yeah, he had a love for that dog. Listen, dogs, you get attached to dogs, they become a part of your family. I mean, I know it. You know,
Give him credit,
my
though.
dog's been a great companion for me for 9 years.
I give him credit. He fought through and did that game last night. Couldn't have been easy.
No. You know, because sometimes you get to a point, I don't know if you've ever had to put a pet down.
I did. I had to put a cat down. I've never had a dog. You know that? I love dogs.
Yeah.
Never owned a dog in my life. My parents would never get me a dog as a kid. So I'm probably going to have to bite the bullet for my kids and get one eventually. But I love dogs. But I did have to put a cat down. And I was never a cat person. You a cat guy? You ever have a cat?
Well, I had a cat. Was when I got divorced, one of the bonding things that I did was went out with my daughter and we got a kitten.
I got to say.
So we I had that cat for a long time, and I had to put that cat down. It was one of the saddest things I ever, the cats are just so aloof, and you only get so attached to them, but, trying to put down a pet is just so emotional.
I never realized until I adopted a cat, because I wasn't really a cat person, that you do connect with the cats. Just the difference is you got to earn the cat's love. But once you do, my cat's name was Cleo, and once Cleo, she was like a dog. I mean, I'd come home, she'd greet me, she would sit on me on the couch, she would sleep with me. I mean, she was like a dog to me. It was a sad day.
This big bear of a man.
Yeah, with my cat.
Like snuggling with a kitty cat.
I got the cat in the divorce.
It was very well versed.
There was no way Cleo was not coming with me. She loved me. But, yeah, we had to put her down a couple years ago. It was sad.
All right. On that note, let's continue with the peppy tone of the show.
Yeah, we just brought it down.
Just did 3
Let's bring it
minutes
back
of
up.
dead pets.
Let's bring it back up here. Well, how's this
Christ's
peppy?
sake.
How's this peppy? We got people wanting to blow up the Sixers saying that they should trade Joel.
Let's go to Dantes in Pennsylvania somewhere. Dantes, where you at?
What's up, guys? Great show today, man. I'm in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I'm actually traveling into New York today to get some pizza.
There you go.
Dude, I'm excited. Place in Brooklyn called Luigi's. Check it out.
There's
on
nothing
the,
like New York pizza. Listen, I hate New York too. Everybody hates. But yeah, you get pizza up there, and it's spectacular.
Absolutely the best. Anyways, listen, man. I've been a Embiid supporter, huge Sixer fan for my whole life. It ain't happening, man. I mean, I believe after that press conference where he's like, "I do too much for this effing city," come on, bro. I mean, take it easy, all right? You haven't got.
You didn't like that. That turned you off, huh?
Oh, well, you know what? Let's be honest. All right? You have a job, right? And you get paid really well for your job. You have a bad day at work, whatever. Then you go out and you blast, your company, your city, this, that, and other. Come on, man. That's just weak. That's not what leaders do. And unfortunately, we went out and signed two of the highest priced guys that aren't reliable. And it's unfortunate, but now we're in this position. Our only saving grace is that we have a young superstar up and coming that is a leader, that will play through adversity and injury. I'm sure he probably wanted to play even with the hamstring. But, it's just disappointing. Yeah. So, great show, guys.
Thank you, Don. So this is the example of the tone I'm feeling. It's not hopeless, but it's not hopeful.
No, I don't know how anyone could be over-the-top hopeful right now with the way the season started. But to Dantes' point, though, about Joel, if he would have just come out and the criticism was fair criticism, and he would have come out and did the I've done too much for this bleeping city and all that, I would have agreed with Dantes. Like, listen, man, you get paid very well for your job. You don't need to come out and say those type of things. It's just that once Marcus Hayes crossed the line, I'm okay with Joel responding that way because he had to defend himself. He had to say something when Marcus Hayes decided to say what he said about his brother and his son. So I was okay with it. If you and I are just criticizing Joel's play and he comes out and is like, I've done too much for this city, Mikey Miss. Well, then that's like, come on, man, relax. This is your job. It's our job to criticize you about if you don't play well or, to critique your play. But that crossed the line, so I was okay with him saying that.
I was not. Listen, it's not. You can't throw something back in somebody's face when you really, as good as you've been in this league and you establish yourself as a superstar, you haven't done too much for this city. You haven't won a championship yet, okay? So you can't go that aggressive with it. Now, you can say, I'm sorry that people feel that way. I try my best all the time and give it my best, but you can't try to make people feel guilty because they are upset that you're not playing. They are asking, why are you not playing? Okay, so it's not like you can go on the offensive. You chose not to play in conjunction with the organization because of this concept of saving yourself. When I go, well, I would have liked to seen you really buck up and get ready to start the season. So you don't have the offensive weapons that I think can make you say something like that.
I'm going to give you the first one of the day. You're not wrong. Okay? You're not wrong. But what I took it as when Joel said, I've done too much for this city, it was in response to Marcus Hayes questioning the legacy that Joel Embiid was leaving for his son, who was named after his deceased brother. In that respect, I felt like he was okay to say, I've done too much.
It wasn't all about Marcus Hayes. It was about him answering the people who said he didn't want to play. That's what he came out and got offensive. When they say he doesn't want to play, well, I've done too much for the city for people to say that. Well, no, listen, is it not reasonable for the fan base of this team that wants to be invested in this team financially and otherwise to think that you could get ready for the season?
1,000% fair. But the way I took it, maybe my memory's off, but I thought he specifically said...
it wasn't specifically about Marcus Hayes.
I thought he even said the guy who's not here, Marcus, whatever his name is.
He added that, but he was peeved that people were questioning his desire to play. That was the main thrust and focus of it.
You're right, because then he threw in that he played through the injuries, right. Bell's palsy, all that.
Okay, that's fine. You don't have the offensive in this particular situation to try to make people feel bad for questioning why you're not ready for the season.
Do you see this as offensive, though?
Well, I think
he's on the defense at that point.
I think it's totally offensive. It's a passive-aggressive way to try to make people feel bad about them suggesting, God forbid, that he be ready to play.
But if that article doesn't come out, do you think Joel goes in front of a microphone and says that?
But the same thing.
I think he only did it because of that article, that inappropriate article, which we all agree should never have hit the press, ever.
Okay, but he also knows that people were saying, not just Marcus Hayes, other people were saying, come on, man, how come you're not playing? How come you're not ready for the season? And you like, if you got beef with Marcus Hayes, make that the focus. I don't think that guy was fair. But he didn't do that until he started talking about people questioning his desire to play.
I do think
I did too much for the city. Well, you've done a lot for the Sixers franchise. I get it. You haven't done too much for the city. You've done some. You haven't done too much. You haven't won. We haven't got out of the second round. Last year, you got eliminated in the first round. Don't give me that now.
Yeah, I just don't think he would have done it but for the Marcus Hayes article. But kind of to your point, a lion doesn't have to tell you they're a lion. So if you've done a lot for the city, you don't have to say it because we know it.
How about that? Word of wisdom from Bill.
Do you like that, Ray? A lion doesn't have to tell you.
You got to give him up. Give it up for that. Don't you think, Ray?
Yeah, it was great.
Ray,
Fantastic.
I don't know why Ray's been so angry at me all
Ray's
week.
just loath to compliment you these days.
I know. All I did was I was impressed with Ray and his play-by-play and everything that was going on. And then he takes a shot at me and his news at noon. Doesn't give me any credit.
You asked me yesterday if I've ever
done too
worked
much
out.
for this show, Ray.
You asked me if
Did you
I've
see what
ever
I did?
lifted a weight.
Did you see what I
yesterday.
did there? I done too much for this show. Did you see what I did?
It's so great.
I pulled a Joel.
That was really good, man. That was good.
Yeah, you've done too much for this show to be questioned. About your desire to perform. 610-632-0975. Mike Missanelli Show continues. Now, since we're talking Sixers, this is the first plank of our rate the announcers situation today. So if you're on hold, I ask you to rate the announcers. Well, you grade them or you have a comment about them, and I think it'll be fun.
Wait, are we going local or national?
The local announcers.
So radio and TV.
No, just TV.
Just TV. Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, because we can't talk about another radio station.
I guess you're right.
Yeah, so
we'll
just do the TV.
Well, we could, but we'll choose not to.
Yeah, so as long as we're talking Sixers on NBC Sports Philly, you have Kate and Alla. So rate the broadcast. This is what I'm asking the people. They're the consumers are the ones that make the difference. Not us, but we could have our thoughts as well.
Yeah. So when Kate Scott first got here, what are we talking, 3 years now?
Yeah.
I think like with anything, people are reluctant to change. They don't like to hear a different voice that they're not used to. Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, she's won me over, man.
Yeah, I think Kate does a good job.
I think she's phenomenal.
Yeah. And I think most people would agree with that. And what do you think of Alla? I didn't understand the Alla connection to broadcasting Philadelphia basketball because he was here for like a half an hour.
Yeah.
So that took me a while. But he's knowledgeable. I think he goes, I don't know.
I think I know what you're going to say.
He goes a little too Homer out.
Yes.
For me.
It's a little too much sometimes. When you're watching the replay and he's talking about how ridiculous the call was, you're like, wait, what are we watching the same thing here? I respect it. He tries, but you don't have to be such a Homer.
Yeah. And here's the thing about this is just my personal taste. I'm not a first name guy. Like I don't know when the broadcast gets overly chummy and everybody's referred to by a first name, and then I don't like sometimes I love Kate, but I didn't like the Bang Bang George and Yang, and I don't like the Yabba Dabba Do.
You got to earn the nickname.
Yeah. It's like if you want to call him Yabu, that's fine. The Yabba Dabba Do I don't need.
Yeah, you got to earn it.
It's like and I don't need I occasionally would like to hear a last name. You know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hear Kelly, Tyrese the Kelly. I want to hear sometimes the Maxi the Oubre. You know?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Not just the first names. I got you.
Because it gets then too chummy.
Yeah, like you.
That's just my personal taste, though. I mean, everybody has their own style. They feel comfortable broadcasting that way. They feel broadcast.
But, but back to Alla. Very knowledgeable basketball guy. I do wish maybe he would dial down the homerism just a little bit because sometimes you feel like you're not getting a objective analysis.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about Al. I think he understands the errors, but just doesn't want to overemphasize them on the air.
Yes. Yeah, which I guess he's an employee of the Sixers, right?
Yeah, he complains a lot about officials' calls, too.
Yeah, but Kate and Alla, are they employed by NBC Sports Philadelphia or the 76ers?
The NBC Sports Philadelphia.
All right, so he could be critical then, couldn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he could.
Like, I know we'll get there, but I feel like Brian Boucher is critical with the Flyers as the color analyst.
Is he?
I feel like he's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they all lean.
Oh, we'll get to that broadcast.
Yeah, they all lean.
Eventually.
They all lean a little bit Homer. I mean, that's just look at John Kruk.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that because that's what people want to hear. They want the announcers to be on their side. I get it.
And if they're not, they hate Philadelphia.
Yeah.
You get that.
Exactly. All right, let's go to Jules in Southwest Philly. Jules, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Jules.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
What's up, Jules?
Not much. I just wanted to make a point. Mike had mentioned about Embiid and that altercation with Marcus. And, I agree that he should not have mentioned that during the press conference. That, if that's a beef that he has with Marcus, take it up with him. You know what I mean? Telling us about how much he's done for the city and blah, blah, blah. That is pointless, in my opinion.
Yeah, listen, I can tell he was peeved about it, and so I don't really have a problem with him bringing it up. But I think he was trying to be passive-aggressive, make people feel guilty. Like, to me, he's got to understand why people would think it's an issue that he's not ready to start the season. So he can't, lash back at the people who feel that way.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I'm professional. I think. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. But overall, you guys had mentioned a few moments ago about a youthful energy, and I do think that once Embiid is back, we have Paul George in the lineup. We have Maxey. They could sprinkle in, Ricky Council the fourth, and even the draft pick, and potentially get that youthful energy that you guys are talking about. I don't think that the season's over. I think that, Nick Nurse is a great coach and that he will find a lineup that will give us a spark.
Well, I hope you're right. I don't see the Ricky Council thing being the youthful energy. I think if they felt that about him, he would be more of a fixture coming off the bench. They're afraid to play him, I think, because he looks just too wild, and that's not Nurse's type of guy.
Well, but they played him during the playoffs last year. That's what kind of had me thinking that maybe he was a spark that they like. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about it. And McCain's a solid player. I don't think he's going to give them energy.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think he's an energy player. I think he's a basic player who can help them and won't hurt them. But I'm not so sure that he gives them that kind of energy.
Well, can I just ask what energy? Can you define it?
I mean, somebody comes off the bench with length, who swashbuckles to the basket, who can do some things offensively, who can defend, like that kind of energy.
Yeah, that's smart. We're talking about the same thing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, I think we might be surprised, honestly. I do.
Okay. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I think that Ricky Council's way down on their priority list at this point.
And did he say that Council did play in the playoffs last year?
He didn't play in the playoffs.
He didn't play at all?
No. He played towards the end of the season.
Yeah, but they did not play at all.
They don't trust him. And you got to be trustable. In the end, they wound up not trusting Paul Reed after originally trusting him. Though, guys that don't progress, you don't have time to mess around as a head coach. If you don't believe in somebody who can help you, you think they're wild, they're going to make mistakes, you go away from them. And that's what I think they think of Ricky Council.
Yeah, and I'm with you on McCain. It's just
he's can't expect him.
Yeah, but you can't expect him to do it as a rookie.
He's not going to hurt you. That kid is never going to hurt you as a player. I don't know that he has any kind of star potential or even starter potential in this league, frankly. He's not that dynamic of a player, but he's solid. He reminds me of a lot of Duke players that have survived in the league, like the Tyus Joneses of the world. Those type of guards that Duke produced.
Yeah, so maybe he can become a piece. I don't see it this year, though, as a rookie. If the Sixers are true contenders, can you rely on a guy like McKinney?
I mean, he's a nice player. He's a nice shooter, but he's not a dynamic three-point shooter. I hope he doesn't have that yet with him. All right, 610-632-0975. Coming up shortly, Nick Sirianni's presser. I can't wait. The new Nick Sirianni is boring.
Hell yeah.
Come on, Nick. Bring out a potted plant. Do something for me here.
Now, some people tweeted me, DM'd me about Zach Taylor's decision to go for 2 last night when they scored the touchdown. Extra point would have tied it against Baltimore, saying, if that was Nick, you guys would be killing him the next day.
Let me just be straight here. I would never go for 2 on a win or lose situation.
Now, I love the call.
Well, that's, I don't know why.
The same reason why.
The only time that works is when you're in college and you're outmanned and you want to steal a win in somebody else. In the NFL, let your players decide the game in overtime where they have a chance.
Well, let's play it out. Look what happened with the Bucs and the Chiefs. Not going for 2. The Bucs lose the coin toss, and what happens? Patrick Mahomes takes it right down the field. Baker Mayfield don't even get the ball.
Okay.
I think you go for 2 in that situation. Yeah. Lamar and that Ravens
when
offense.
You're Cincinnati, the risk reward, you can't have another loss.
It's on the road.
You can't have another loss. You got to play it straight.
I liked it.
610-632-0975 back after this. 0975. All right, so Nick Sirianni's coming up in a little bit. And what's he going to say? What do you guess? Guess what he's going to say. He respects Dallas.
Yeah, for sure.
He respects that Cooper Rush is a competent quarterback. We respect him.
Yeah, all coaches speak today.
Dog mentality, core values, so much good.
There it is. That was Nick Sirianni.
I don't like this. I don't like this changed thing.
No, but you're right. It'll be coaches speak today. A lot of that you got it respected, and Cooper Rush has done a nice job. Look, you look at Cooper Rush, and I said this earlier in the week. He's 5-1 in his career. So I went back and I wanted to dive into the numbers to be like, all right, well, how good did he actually look in those games? He threw for 100 yards in a game they won. 102 he threw for, and they won that game because they leaned on their rushing attack. You look at all of these, they had a lot better of a rushing attack back then because you're going back to 2022. You still had Tony Pollard on that team. You still had Zeke on that team. So they don't have a running attack now. So it's going to be tough for Cooper Rush to do much. He doesn't have a big arm. He doesn't scramble. I think the Eagles are going to have their way with Cooper Rush.
Let me ask you a question about this Josh Huff thing.
Bryce Huff.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Josh Huff was the one that got arrested for a gun in his car.
Josh Huff was the kid from Oregon.
Who decided to go over the bridge with a gun.
Right, Bryce Huff. His wrist flared up. And therefore, he kind of did not play last week at all. Now, I don't know how that sits with you, but I don't know if his wrist flaring up should prevent somebody from playing. Your thoughts?
He played 6 snaps in that game.
Mm-hmm. His wrist flared up.
You're not buying it.
What do you mean his wrist flared up? His wrist flared up, tape it. Like, what, is there an injury there? Like, what do you mean? This is a defensive lineman. These guys play through this kind of stuff all the time. Like, unless there's an injury, like they announce, well, he's got a torn ligament or whatever. His wrist flared up, and that's why, like, I don't get it.
Yeah, for that position, I mean, you could play with a broken wrist.
Yeah, it's just something that hit me. His wrist flared up. Nobody even gives it a second thought. But I'm going, man, these guys they want to get on the field. A wrist flaring up's not going to keep them off the field.
Well, you're looking at it from the player's perspective. I mean, look, Vic Fangio, who doesn't pull punches, it was clear from the moment he spoke that he wasn't a huge fan of this Bryce Hall. Because he's never really praised him. It's always been he's not ready to be an every down player. And now you've seen it in the way they utilize Bryce Huff. That was clearly a Howie Roseman signing, and Fangio's not a big fan of his.
His wrist flared up in pregame warm-ups? Is that what it was?
Yeah, they said he was battling something, and it got aggravated in pregame warm-ups.
What's getting aggravated in pregame warm-ups? Well, seriously, I'm being serious now. What is getting aggravated in pregame warm-ups?
So have you ever seen the way
you're pushing against some guys?
Yeah.
Like you go through those drills?
Yeah, you ever seen the way the defensive linemen warm up?
Yeah, with the hands up.
They just push each other.
I get it.
But you're right. You tape the thing up and you play.
I hope maybe I'm out of line. And if I am, I apologize.
No, I think it's more about the fact they don't trust Bryce Huff.
Let's go to David on a cell. David, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. David.
Hi, good afternoon, guys.
What's up, David?
All right. So, my opinion on the whole Sixers and Embiid thing is we have to move on from Embiid being, the guy we're all leaning on to carry us to achieving all the goals of the championship and whatever, because he himself is just a dice roll. Like every year, it's a dice roll. That's like step number one in the plan is just to roll the dice and hope this guy stays healthy.
What do you mean? What do you mean move on?
I mean, like we have to, or the organization, they have to transition from him being the guy, and they need to pass that baton on to somebody else. Ideally, that would be Tyrese Maxey, but it can't be Embiid.
Well,
it can't.
But you can't do that. He's still too much of a dominant player for you, Daddy. He's not going to be a subordinate.
But How dominant can you be if you're not playing? We just hope that he can play.
but it's not like when he's playing, he can't not be the focus. He's a dominant player.
Yeah, but when is he playing?
I don't understand. What do you mean by transition? Like, if he's on the floor, what's he supposed to do? Stay out of the play?
No, I'm saying he can't be the leader anymore. The transition means right now we all hope and be like, we only give ourselves a chance to win a championship if Embiid is on the floor. That has to transition to somebody else, and it has to start to be Tyrese Maxey.
How can it transition? Tyrese Maxey's not going to be able to carry a team.
I'm saying they have to. Well, step number one, they have to have a tough conversation. But if we keep holding on to this thread of Embiid hope every year,
I don't understand. Listen, with all due respect, I don't understand how this plays out in your mind. Like, I don't. It's one thing to say you got to transition away. Like you can't. As long as his presence is there, you can't transition away from him being the most dominant player on the team.
Well, by talent, yes, he's the most dominant. But I'm saying structurally, they have no identity. They have no blueprint. They have no plan. They have
then you're suggesting that they ought to tear it down without him.
No. Don't tear it down.
Well,
all I'm saying
I got to be honest with David. I don't know where you're going with this. What you're saying doesn't make sense. You got to transition away from Embiid, but he still has to be part of the team. Like, what? It's ridiculous to think that. What are you going to do? You're going to keep him out of your offense? Like, come on. What are we talking about here? We're talking about an all-star dominant player in the league. You can't transition away from him. You got to enhance it.
And we talked about just building around Maxey. I think as great of a player as Maxey is, he's not a guy that can carry a franchise.
No, of course not. You can't transit. Embiid is here for better or worse. Okay? You're not going to transition away from him. You're not going to trade him. You're not going to tear it down. So you got to figure out whether this team could be good enough with his time here. There are a lot of people that don't think that's ever going to happen. That's fair. They took a shot that maybe if they put another star on the floor, they'll be fine. We'll see. Because it's not started out as a cohesive effort or build to get to that point.
No. As frustrating as it is, though, trying to be the voice of reason, we are talking about 7 games.
Huh?
So as frustrating as this whole start to the season has been, if Joel comes back, Maxey's back in a couple of weeks, there's still plenty of time for us to figure out whether or not this unit can work together. Because when we talk about how the role players don't look great, well, we haven't seen them in their role yet. They weren't brought in here to carry the team. They were brought in here to supplement the big three. So I still want to hold out hope. I haven't loved what I've seen. I'm starting to question Nick Nurse a little bit. Does he have the wherewithal to make this a true contender? I haven't seen it. Last season, Nick Nurse didn't impress me. But I keep going back to, well, look what he did in Toronto. Look at that team he put together where Kawhi didn't really play much. That unit hadn't played together for a long stretch, and then they went on that great run to win a championship. So I'm holding out hope. I'm losing it, but I'm holding out hope.
But also, when I talk about young energy, that's exactly what Nick Nurse had in Toronto. Yeah, he had a great player at Kawhi, but he had younger energy in Precious Achua. He had OG Anunoby. He had this guy like the Boucher. He had that kind of young energy on that team.
Was Siakam on that team too?
Siakam, yeah. All right, here's Nick Sirianni.
All right, fire away. Hey, Nick, I know before the season you have the meeting with each player about their role. When a role changes during the season, especially when it decreases, how do you handle that?
Yeah, again, you talk to everybody, just the open lines of communication. Our role meeting is, yes, it's done in private, but it's also done in person, and then you redefine roles as each game comes up, because little roles change here and there within the game are part of me, week in, week out. So when you're going over goals, hey, it's important that we stop this guy, and you're going to be responsible for that. So, again, when guys' roles change positively or playing a little bit less or have less, you just communicate everything.
We haven't really seen Jalen be held back for load management before. What was behind that on Wednesday?
Yeah, he's dealing with it was on the injury report, dealing with the ankle, and just making sure we're precautious with everything.
What's wrong with the ankle?
He wasn't on the ankle.
I'm sorry, Jalen Hurts. It was an ankle?
What's that?
It was the rest.
That was the rest, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No problem.
I thought you were talking about something else. All right.
Is Jalen dealing with an ankle problem?
Now rest.
When it comes to that role, to sort of follow up, everybody handles it a little bit differently. So how much does that come into the fact that you have to learn the personalities and figure out what button to push?
Yeah, again, it's just knowing everybody, and everybody's that has a little bit different personality. Everybody's a little bit different, and just having that communication and knowing the guys at the end of the day is what's the most important. So you're able to communicate that with them. And again, like I don't want to get too much into all the conversations that you have with everybody, but it's again, a lot of it is done in front of the team as far as, hey, here's what's important for this week as a whole. Here's what's important for you this week as an individual. Again, you can't do that every single week like you do in the preseason, but yeah.
How has motion helped? I know motion in the past game obviously give the quarterback a lot of pre-snap tells, but in the run game, especially the read part of it, how does the motion help an offense and a quarterback?
Yeah, again, it just puts deception into the defense's mind, not giving them the same look, and so they have to recognize different formations and adjust on the fly.
When it came to those decisions for like rest and everything else, with it being a short week the following week, how do you balance that, like knowing that you still want to go?
Yeah, everything you do, you're trying to get the guys ready for this game, obviously, but also have the future in mind, whether you have a short week the following week or a long week or a night game or whatever it is. So you're thinking about that with everything that you do. So the rest this week, we do, you look at every single player and you kind of have an individual plan. I think that's why we have such good doctors and trainers and also strength staff, because everybody has basically an individual plan. But and even today, what will we do at the end of practice? That's kind of how the practice goes, right? How are we feeling? So something could turn into a jog through. So everything, you have these contingency plans on everything. What are we going to do in this case? What are we going to do in that case? And so, every little scenario has a contingency plan, and then we will, we'll see how the game goes, see what Monday's going to look like. Will we, bring the guys in? Will we practice later in the week? All those things are discussed, and you go off your plans that you've done prior to that as well, and kind of just adjust those as you go.
Nick, we learned that Lane and a couple offensive linemen came to you during the bye week and expressed their desired direction for the offense. What was that moment like from your perspective?
Yeah, again, it's everything. I spent a lot of time with Jalen, obviously, during that bye week and just talking through things. And Jalen had so much good insight. And then, you always listen to your players as far as what they're the ones out there seeing it and feeling it. And so I think it's just good feedback. It's good. That's good organizational. That's just good organizational football, right? Is to be communicating with everyone to get everyone on the same page. I thought it was great productive meetings.
Why do you think the Cowboys, it's such a drastic change from one way to the other? 8-0, they dominated home last year. Now they've really struggled on. What have you seen on tape that makes them so different this year?
Yeah, I think this is I still really have a lot of respect for this football team. They got a lot of good players. They got good coaches, and we're going to have to be on it. Going up there into a difficult place to play and be on it. And so we're preparing that way. When we put on tape, you watch tape different ways. Sometimes you watch it in the flow of the game, and sometimes you watch it in as cut-ups. And when you're watching cut-ups, you're like, "Whoa, man, that's a that's a tough one to stop, or this is a tough scheme to stop, or this is a tough player to stop. And so, they have our full attention. This is a rivalry game. This is a big time game against a big time opponent. And I don't think I haven't been a part of a team that's won there yet. So that's the goal, to go down there and win against a good opponent.
All right. Thanks, folks.
Oh man, I just can't take it anymore. They're so bland.
Bland, but
what was your impression? Go ahead.
Well, I think he may have misspoke.
What do you say?
They asked him, why did Jalen not practice on
The
Wednesday?
ankle.
He said it was the ankle. Oh, it was on the injury report. No. And then did you hear Bob Lang have to chime in? No. It was rest on the injury report. And then Nick says, I was talking about somebody else. So I just
kept looking over, too, to the side. He knows he messed up.
He messed up because if you look at the injury report, there's no other Jalen on the injury report. And the only people who are battling an ankle are Mekhi Becton and Anaya Smith. So I don't think that you are confusing those guys with the question about Jalen Hurts. So Jalen's battling an ankle, and the Eagles are not being forthcoming about it. I don't like it. Hopefully it's just, minor thing, but a little bit of a misstep by our man Nick Sirianni.
Okay.
Oh, really not great when you give up your quarterback's dealing with an ankle. We've talked about you and your quarterback and how you don't get along all the time.
Well, it's the NFL would have an issue. You can't lie on an injury report.
Yeah, I was so conditioned to his blandness that I didn't even pick up much on that. Good call by you.
Yep, me and Ray locked eyes.
Very nice.
Hurts doesn't like people talking about the knee last year. Now people going to be asking about his ankle when he was listed as rest.
Well, that was ridiculous last year with the knee. He's wearing a knee brace, and he didn't want to talk about it. So, you're wearing a brace. We could all see the brace.
You think he wants to talk about the ankle when it was listed as rest?
Is he speaking later today, Jalen, or is he done?
Locker room opens at 1:40.
I have to speak to it.
So
unless he avoids,
unless he's not available. He doesn't have his own availability. Just
Come
the
on, Nick.
Room.
You got one job.
Oh, no.
How's Nick not ready for that question?
Oh, you got so bland they started giving up information.
It was on the injury report. No, it wasn't. Come on, Nick.
All righty.
And now it'll be, you sports talk guys. You just look for anything. Well, no, it's...
Yeah, leave them alone.
Yeah.
They're rolling.
We got to make sure Jalen's all right.
You guys are interrupting.
They are rolling.
You always have to be negative.
4 in a row, man.
Man, if you could see his, I wish you guys were able to see what I was able to see of his face just looking over consistently.
Oh, Nick?
Uh-huh. He was squirming after that.
Speaking of rolling, Mikey Miss was 3-0 last week in our NFL picks, or our football picks. I'm 18-6 on the year.
You were 18-6 going into last week.
No, I'm 18-6 after last week, wasn't I?
You were 18-6 going into last week.
Oh, so
you're now 20-7.
20-7. So you're not going to want to miss our football picks coming up at 12:30.
7 is pretty solid.
We're kicking
butt. What did I get up to now?
You're 15-12 now.
Oh, that's not too bad either.
500. And I'm going hard college this week.
We were so good. Our prognosticator, what is the word?
Yes, prognosticator.
Prognosticator.
Yeah.
Decided I don't want
it that way.
I don't want to mess with these guys.
Yeah. What's the story behind that? People want to know. What happened? Why did he bail on us?
Couldn't hang, man. Couldn't hang with these picks. So stay tuned for that at 12:30. But
it's kind of weak.
But before we do that, we got our news at noon with Ray.
Yes, news at noon is coming up.
Busy last 2
our
hours.
NFL picks. We still have Tim McManus to come. We're still grading the announcers. And by the way, I just learned something about one of the announcers we just talked about.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'll talk about that on the other side.
And I got a bird question for you.
What, Larry Bird?
I'm going to just leave that's a tease. Bird question. Nobody knows what I mean. Now, about birds. Birds.
Oh, about the species?
Yes,
birds?
The species of birds. I need help with something. Maybe you could help me out.
Got a bird problem?
Not a problem. We'll talk about it on the other side.
I can't wait. 610-632-0975. Mike Missanelli Show continues. Missanelli Show, 12 o'clock hour, brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months, $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at ServiceFirstHVAC.com. All right, noontime. Happy noon, everybody. Enjoy your lunch while we go into something that we call the news at noon.
There's a whole lot going on in this world. It's time to catch up. Here's the news at noon. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Yes, our own Ray Dunn ferrets out 3 interesting little tidbits about the world of sports, or maybe something else. Ray, what do we have today?
All right. If you're looking for something other than sports, I'm sorry, you're going to be a little disappointed today.
It's okay.
We're going into Thursday Night Football to start. Last night, Bengals going for 2 for the win. You guys kind of got into a little bit of that debate. Jamar Chase was asked postgame about not being targeted in that moment. And this was the response from the man that was targeted 17 times last night by Joe Burrow.
Do you feel like the ball should have gone to you on that final play?
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like that as a receiver. You should want the ball, yes. But, sometimes Joe don't see it,
Joe don't see it.
Well, yeah, I think he meant, I don't know. I don't know what he meant there. I thought he was kind of just basically saying his look like, I don't think he meant it as a derogatory thing towards Joe. Like, sometimes he doesn't see me. That's football.
Yeah. Because he has a good relationship with Joe Burrow, right?
And he went to college together.
They do.
Yeah, he's not going to throw him under the bus.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I understand.
I think Ray thinks he did.
But the way you say it, like, you open the door for that. I don't believe he meant that. But the way, like, when you go about answering that, fine answer to say, I just want the ball every time. But sometimes it doesn't work out. To say Joe doesn't see it, I understand those of us who have a grasp, but you got to know way it's going to be perceived.
I can see that part of it, too. I'm more inclined to see it the way you see it because I always think the worst.
And that's what I mean. You have to, and I get it. Frustrating game. It's after the game. We're putting expectations on someone.
Yeah.
This is Monday morning or Friday morning quarterback right here for me. But, but Joe doesn't see it.
No.
It's going to be taken a certain way.
I hear you. The decision to do it again, Bill and I have a disagreement on this. I think you never give away a game. You never give it down to one play where the other team can actually win the game there, especially when you need a win. You extend the game and let your players figure it out from there with your coaching expertise. That's always the way I would side with that.
Yeah, but you got to, when you're looking at the game situation, you're on the road. Baltimore's been going up and down on you, especially in that fourth quarter. I think the best chance you had of winning that football game was going for 2. I didn't love the play call, but I think you go for 2.
Can you afford to roll the dice on one roll?
But aren't you rolling the dice on the coin toss? If you kick the extra point, you lose the coin toss.
It's not like you
never even see the ball again.
Well, how do you know that? You can't trust your players on defense to see the ball again? I don't understand why you would have that premise. Again, if you're overmatched and it's a college game and you're trying to escape with a win, that's different circumstance. In the NFL, these are precious W's and L's, especially for the Bengals. How many losses do they have now? 6?
Yeah, they needed that win.
They have 6 losses. You can't put the whole stack on red in a roulette game.
They're 4-5. 4-5.
All right, Bengals. 4-5.
I don't know. I like the aggressiveness there. You're trusting Burrow. You're trusting your offense. You score, you win.
Okay. You at the roulette table, you putting the whole stash on a number?
No, I'll go all on black or red.
Okay. Oh, so you would put it all on black or red?
Well, that's a
50-50 chance, which is more than they have there.
No, I think it's a 50-50. You put it all on one number, you got a 1 in 36 chance.
So you would put the whole stash on odd, even, or red or black.
I think you gave yourself a better chance to win going for 2 than giving the ball back to the Ravens in overtime.
I asked you about roulette.
You go all on black. If you lose, you double your bet on black. You lose, you double your bet on black.
Yeah, except if you lose, you got no money left. All right, Ray, what's number 2?
All right, let's go to number 2. Last night, Barstool Sports has one of its live streams of all the people watching the game together, and they had Ron Rivera as a guest on it. Ron Rivera went into some stories about the 1980s Bears, those teams, and went into Super Bowl week. And what Mike Ditka, the freedom he gave them leading up to Super Bowl week, and how Jim McMahon might have taking liberty with some of that freedom.
So when we went to the Super Bowl in '85, Dicker brought us out a day early, took us to his friend's restaurant. We had this huge party. And at the end of the party, he goes, no curfew till Friday night. So it was like a bunch of cockroaches and you turn the lights on. So the next day we had meetings in the morning and we were going to have a light work. We come in, we're eating breakfast, meetings are 8 o'clock. In walks Jimmy McManus. It looked like he'd been out all night. Same clothes he came in. Grabs a couple pieces of toast, grabs a pot of coffee, and goes sits down. And we would go into the meeting. And we always started with special teams, but everybody had to be in it. They took roll. It takes roll. Everybody's there. Starts talking special teams. It turns the light off to put on the projector. And you hear in the background, oh, God. He laid down, went to sleep, man.
Wait a minute. What did he say?
He was just cursing because he was so hungover and broken from the night before that he just went right to bed during the team meeting.
You just went to sleep on the ground?
On the ground, in the meeting. I want you to take this in the context of a Philadelphia media finding out that during Super Bowl week, the starting quarterback was out all night and slept through part of a team meeting.
But see, that was the charm of it because he was the rapscallion that they used to write about how, that was the charm of Jim McMahon. It's changed.
Yeah,
it's
changed
you don't
a
have
lot.
those kind of characters that you allow. The McMahon phenomenon at BYU has always fascinated me. Like, that guy went to BYU. Like, how does that even happen? He wasn't a Mormon.
No. And he certainly partook in alcoholic beverages.
Now, here's the other thing. Bill Colarulo gets freaked out if he doesn't have a health bar at noon, right? He's got to squeeze in a workout before he gets a cheesesteak. These guys that are preparing for a Super Bowl, highly trained athletes, and they just go out and get blasted. Now reconcile that for me, Mr. Health.
Well,
Mr. Touchdown.
We're going back 40 years. I think the guys in today's NFL wouldn't be doing that. I don't think they would be partying it up the week of the Super Bowl.
All right.
There's no way that a coach right now says no curfew until Friday during Super Bowl week.
No.
All right, last one for you.
Like, if you're an athlete, why would you do it? That's the thing. Again, you're an athlete. That's your profession. You to be as healthy as you can. Like, why would you even imbibe? I don't get that part of it. Like, we can imbibe. They're professional athletes, trained professional athletes. Alcohol will break you down. Like, what? What's the? I never understood it. All right, go.
All right, last one for you. This is a two-parter here. Lou Williams found himself in a little bit of hot water with NBA Twitter this week on his take on Nikola Jokic and Karl Anthony Towns. So much so that he had himself reconsidering it 24 hours later. Here's the first take.
Is Cat a more skilled guy? Absolutely. I think Jokic is more impactful the way that he approaches the game. He doesn't try to go out and be the best shooter. He tries to get the ball to the best shooter. He doesn't try to be he is the best passer, but he makes sure he puts guys in a position to be successful outside of himself. I think that's what sets them apart. So if we're just talking skill, I'm buying.
So he said Cat was more skilled than Jokic. That got people upset. And then 24 hours later, Lou Will went back on the show and realized, I don't think that's the case.
When I was an active player, and I used to watch ex-players on TV, and they used to say some wild things, and I'm like, come on, bro, you know better. You've been in this game.
Now we're that guy.
And yesterday,
like if they say beef.
And yesterday I said Cat was more skilled than Jokic. And I stood on it, and I gave details why I felt like that. And you know what? I'm real enough to admit that I was wrong.
That's growth.
Didn't see that coming.
That's growth.
I was absolutely wrong.
Proud of you, buddy.
I bumped my head, and as a result, Jokic went out and put up these gaudy, amazing numbers with a dub, beat the last undefeated team left in the associate. Oh no, Cleveland's still there, right?
Yeah, Cleveland's the last one standing.
But that was a wild take, and I take responsibility for my wild take, and I was tripping.
He wasn't that. Listen, Jokic is a much better player than Karl Anthony Towns, but I think he was trying to allude to the fact that Karl Anthony Towns can make more threes and is the best shooting big man, and that's what he put in the equation when he said he was more skilled. So I'm not that mad at Lou, but
Well, I'm glad he came back though and said it was a bad take.
But he was also praising Jokic.
He was
in the first thing he said. Yeah, Lou's all right.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not a huge Karl Anthony Towns fan. I know he's a good player, but Embiid owns him. We want to bring this around to the Sixers. Embiid has owned
We
him.
shall see Tuesday, won't we?
Yeah.
We'll see who owns who.
Maybe not a fair comparison, though,
Yeah, I
because
think I might.
Joel's coming back.
I think I might go to that game.
Yeah?
I think so.
They're
Anyway,
going to let you in the building?
They're not that happy with me right now, but I think maybe I get in the building.
That he should.
610-632-0975. On the other side, some news about Kate Scott that I just learned. The Mike Missanelli Show, back after this. Our evaluation of announcers today, and I think I made it. I got hoodwinked. You know, I was reading a story about the upcoming Mike Tyson, Jake Paul broadcast on Netflix, and I read a headline that says Mauro Ranallo, Roy Jones Jr., Kate Scott lead Mike Tyson, Jake Paul broadcast team. I'm thinking, well, Kate's a broadcaster. She must be involved in this. Well, I was wrong because what are the chances that there's another Kate Scott broadcaster? This was a British, I guess she's done these kind of events before. She's the British Kate Scott. I don't know who Mauro Ranallo is. Should I know who he is? He's doing the play-by-play. Are these all MMA people? Roy Jones Jr. and Rosie Perez. Now, Ray, is that the actual Rosie Perez who's on the bucket?
I have no idea.
Is there another Rosie Perez?
Gotta be.
I have tried to avoid this fight like the plague.
Ariel Helwani is going to be one of the reporters, and Mike Tyson's son, Amir, will be involved in the telecast reporting on some of the preliminary fights. Now, who's his mother? It's not Robin Givens, is it? Who did he have a son with?
I don't know. I didn't know he had kids.
I didn't either. Ray?
I have
Who
no
did Mike Tyson have a son with?
Telling you, I've tried to avoid this fight like the plague.
I'm going to watch it. You're not going to watch it?
No. The less of the Paul brothers in our society, the better.
I know, but there's a chance he catches a Mike Tyson
and then he becomes bigger, and that's the last thing I want.
Listen, you're not stopping the growth of Jake Paul. Unfortunately, he's already a star, whether you like him or not.
And I don't, so I'm not going to watch.
Oh, I'll watch it. Oh, it's on Netflix. I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, I'm curious
I'm
to
not
see
spending a second of my time on
what
those
shape
guys.
Tyson is in to fight about at his age. It's intriguing to me.
But I'm still more intrigued trying to figure out if this is really the Billy, you're so stupid, Rosie Perez.
Who's this Rosie Perez? Kate's got Rosie Perez
There's no
on the
way.
broadcast. It can't be either of them, right?
Hold on, I'm looking at Rosie Perez. There's no way. There's no way. She doesn't do.
Well, she might. I don't know. We've kind of lost track of her. Maybe she is into the MMA situation.
I'm trying to find it.
Find it.
Now I'm Rosie Perez set to do ringside commentary.
It is Rosie Perez.
Yeah, it is her.
It's her.
What the hell? When did she become
I don't know. I mean, people, I'm sure you'll get it on the chat. People who follow this, she's probably done some other stuff here. Right?
She's a huge boxing fan.
Well, there you go.
Voudrew said it is her. She's a huge boxing fan. And Ray, when I say Billy, you so stupid, you know what movie I'm talking about?
No.
When I tell you I'm thirsty, it doesn't mean I want you to get me a drink of water.
It's a white man can't jump.
One of my favorites growing up.
Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, I've seen White Man
You
Can't
have seen
Jump.
White Man Can't Jump.
But I'll be honest, I can't go line for
you didn't remember
line.
it very well.
What you did was you
he
probably
didn't do a good Rosie Perez.
He listened to it, but he didn't hear it.
I watched it. I didn't start reciting lines.
I see. He gave you a line again, and you missed it.
Because Billy
Talking
Hoyle
about Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, Billy Hoyle listens to Jimi Hendrix.
Wesley Snipes told him, which I found hard to believe that Wesley Snipes would listen to Jimi Hendrix.
Sidney Dean says, you didn't listen. You're listening. You got to hear Jimmy. You can't hear Jimmy.
You got the silliest lines committed to memory. Like, I give you the classic lines.
Oh, I've seen that movie
right?
1,000 times, White Men Can't Jump.
All right, let's go to Darnell in Norristown. Darnell, what's up?
Mike, first time, long time.
How you doing, Darnell?
I'm doing all right. First of all, I think Kate and Allah are good. I think they're good, but I'm a '90s kid, so I grew up on Steve Mix and Mark Zumoff. So if that's the measuring stick, I think I don't think anyone's going to match that.
Yeah, well, Zumoff had a special, the charm of the weight room and, shut all windows and doors, lock all windows and doors, that kind of stuff, which made him entertaining. I get it. Well, I think Kate's solid.
I think she's solid too. Those guys were great. Embiid, this guy's on my nerves. I'm on your side. I mean, I've done a lot for the city. I mean, this guy's talking like he's Chase Utley. This guy's talking like he's Cole Hamels or Jimmy Rollins. I don't understand. I don't get it.
I think he took it a little too far. You know, that's like, woe is me. Look what I've done for you. And like at the end of the day, you've been a star player. I get it, but the second round, you know, like come on, you can't go. Yeah, you can't go too far with that. Now, if you brought a championship here, then you got the right to say that. But come on, man, I think you got to look in the mirror and say, okay, I've done a lot in my. I think I'm an accomplished player, but maybe the fans, that's going too far if I say that to the fans.
Absolutely. And then there's no reason why he shouldn't be ready for the start of there's no reason why a professional athlete shouldn't be ready for the start of the season. Tatum plays.
It's not It's not respecting your fan base, which was what rankled me in the first place. Like the fan base didn't matter. What mattered is preserving him for the playoffs. And when you convince a fan base of that, and then they turn on that because now it's like getting annoying.
Completely agree. Lastly, you guys were talking about Mike. Listen, now this I don't agree with you on. You guys were talking about John's roast pork down in the city. And usually I side with you. But I got to side with Bill on this one. I was not impressed. I mean, first of all, it was soggy. I needed a mop and 15 napkins to get through the sandwich.
Well, we're going to give them another chance because he called in.
We're going to give him another chance.
I'm giving him another chance.
It's like classically rated as either the first or 1A or 1A with Angelo's is the best cheesesteak in the city. There's not even like these are rando reviews of people that are ridiculous.
Well, I've only been there once, so that's why the one time I was there, I was expecting more, but he called in and he said that maybe they were having some of their staffing problems back then. We're going back 4 or 5 years. So we're going to do it again. You actually have to set that up. We got to get our cheesesteak.
It's impossible that you have proper taste.
How's it impossible?
It just is. It's like it's just so consistently good. Both those cheesesteaks, Angelo's and John's roast pork, that there could be no room for a bad review. It's a bad review only comes from people that can't taste a good cheesesteak. Really. I'm sorry.
With all due respect, I disagree. With all due respect.
All right. Let's get to. Here's the thing about what I don't like in broadcast. I'll take this then to another direction. I don't like the first name of being overused, but I don't also like the nickname for the mediocre player.
Yeah, that doesn't. I'm with you on that.
All right, and so when Kate used to rankle me when she used the glowing nicknames for George Niang.
Yeah,
because I thought he was a mutt, and so I had to hear the minivan or bang bang drum. I'm going, not for this guy, please.
Now, on a similar note, this is more for fans. Anytime a player has the ooh in his name, like Cooper DeJean, you know how they give him the Coop.
Yeah.
I think you got to earn that. Like, I'm okay with it with Cooper DeJean. He's a rookie. He's a highly touted rookie. But anytime a player has that in his name, the fans do it. I think you got to earn that.
I get that. All right, we'll go. We'll move on to baseball a little later in the show with McCarthy, Kruk, Ben Davis, Ruben Amaro. All that. We'll rate that coming in a second. But on the other side, our fearless selections. Bill, what's your record? 20-7?
20-7, man.
20-7. I turned the corner with a 15-12. We'll give you our selections after this. And it's time for our fearless selection. One thing, I see, I'm such a stickler for words that when I heard Sirianni, the only thing I could focus on, he said, we have to be precautious on everything, which was a misuse of the word.
Just say cautious.
And I got tied up into the mindset. He just say precaution, and then I didn't hear the second thing he said, which was the important thing, which was the Jalen Hurts like injury report thing. But he just say precautious, and my brain went to another direction. And that's my bad. Because I got so tied up in him mispronouncing the word.
But I think, I'm looking it up, I think you can use the word precautious.
He said precautious, as if the pre-RE hyphen cautious.
Gotcha.
Like, instead of just saying, we have to be very cautious about that.
Yeah.
You know? Like pre means you're being pre the event of caution.
Well, you get on...
you have to be cautious, not pre-cautious.
I don't know if anyone is listing Mount Union as an Ivy League school, right?
That's why I'm pointing out that I'm an idiot for focusing on the word instead of what he said afterwards. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our fearless selections. No more prognosticator, just me and Bill giving you 3 selections. So, Bill, I know you're going to go 3 NFL, so go right ahead.
Trying to improve on the 20-7 record that I have so far. We're going to start in Indianapolis. You got the Buffalo Bills -3.5 at the Colts. Bills have won 4 in a row. Colts have lost 2 in a row. I'm taking the Bills to cover on the road in Indianapolis. Then we're going to jump over to Arizona. I don't understand this line at all. I almost stayed away from it, but it seems too good to be true. I'm running with it anyway. You have the Jets -1.5 at the Cardinals. The Cardinals are getting 1.5 at home against the Jets. What, after losing 5 straight, they win a game and people think the Jets are for real? I'm taking the Cardinals, who've won 3 in a row. Cardinals +1.5. And then I need to do my lock of the week. Oh, you're going to love this one, Mike. Sunday Night Football. Detroit Lions, winners of 6 in a row. Going to Houston to take on the Texans, getting 3.5 points. They've lost 2 of 3. I'm taking the Texans, baby. I'm actually considering taking the Texans money line. You got the Lions coming off a back-to-back road game, or this is a back-to-back road game, I should say. You can't win them all. Texans +3.5. Lock of the week over the Lions.
All right. First of all, that Bills Indy line, what was that? Because I looked at that game, and it's such an Indy line. What is it?
The Indianapolis
Bills.
-3.5 for the Bills.
-3.5 is all?
Oh, he's looking at the line.
I might go head-to-head with you. Take why Indianapolis are only getting 3.5. They stink. Against a really good team. Oh, that's a line. It's fishy. But that's not my selection. I'm going to go to college because these are inviting. Georgia. Oh, Georgia. They're in the playoffs. They're in a good spot. They're at Ole Miss this weekend. And yet, this line went from Georgia -7 to Georgia -2.5. The sharp money is coming in on the Ole Miss Bulldogs. Or the Rebels, whatever they're called.
It's the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah. So I am going to take Ole Miss in this game to win the game outright.
Wow.
All right, my second one. I can't ignore them anymore. Michigan at Indiana. Oh, the Wolverines have taken a mighty fall. This line started out at 7. It has gone up to 14.5 for Indiana. Indiana is a 14.5 favorite over Michigan. I'm going to ride the Hoosiers.
Big line.
And my lock of the week, I'll go in the NFL. If they can't beat this team, I mean, come on. I know it's in another country. The Giants at the Panthers, the Giants -1.5. My God, please. You got to be able to cover that. I'll take the Giants -1.5. But also, my upset of the week, Indianapolis and the Bills, they're getting 3.5. That's it. You got to be kidding me, Bill. That's a line that's smacking you over the head. All right, those are our locks of the week.
All right, we'll see how it all plays out. Pretty good, though. I mean, you're 15-12. That's still pretty good.
But, of course, the lock of the week is presented by McCausland Lock Services. For up to 50% off car keys and remotes, go to where dealers go. Go to McCausland Lock Services. How can Indianapolis only be getting 3.5?
I don't know. See, it doesn't make sense. So you look at the line, and it tells you it's too good to be true. I look at the line and say, you know what?
It's true.
I'm going to take advantage of this. I'm going to take advantage.
Yeah, I can't understand it. So that's such a ridiculous line. That must mean Indy's going to cover or even win the game in some kind of an upset.
We'll see how it
It's so
plays
easy
out.
to go with the Bills in that. You think? It's too easy.
Hey, sometimes take the easy. You don't have to take the road less traveled, Robert Frost. See that? Dropping some knowledge. See, I get accused of being dumb.
Yeah.
Ray, do you know Robert Frost wrote The Road Less Traveled?
Thank you. Appreciate
Less
that.
travel.
Can I ask you my bird question now?
Yeah.
Are you
Okay,
a bird? Are you like a birds guy? Like, do you have birds that, like bird houses and things? You a bird man?
No.
All right, so
I don't have bird houses. No.
All right, so here's the issue. Neither do I, but we're walking down the street in Collingswood, my wife and I, and there's like a whole bird store. So we go in, and I get roped into buying this bird house that you have to put on the window outside, and then they sell me on the bird seed, and there's pepper in it to keep the squirrels out, like this whole thing, right? So I come home, I put this thing together last week, I figure out what window is the best for it, open up the window, take the screen off, put the seed in there. I'm all excited. I put this on so we could have it in a spot where we could watch these birds come and eat from the birdhouse. The thing's been up for over a week. There's not a single damn bird that's come over to eat from the damn
The word
thing.
hasn't gotten out yet. Once the word gets out, they'll flock.
So is it just patience that I have to have?
Yeah, it's patience. It's one bird's got to communicate to the others.
Because I'm ready to return the damn thing.
No. Yeah, hang in there. There'll be one bird that notices it. And then once one bird notices it, he goes into the town hall of birds and announces that there's some food at your joint.
So you are a birdsman because what the store told us, the lady said, she did say be patient because what she said is the other birds will wait for the dumbest bird to come and test the food to make sure it's not poison.
There you go.
I don't have much patience.
What's really funny about that you said that there's pepper in the feed, and yeah, there are squirrels going, there are squirrels munching on that, going, these idiots think that we're
like
deterred
spice.
by the pepper.
Well, seasoning.
Yeah, they put all this red pepper where she's like, don't even, if you touch it, make sure you wash your hands. Don't rub your eyes. There's apparently like pepper oil or something in it.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Well, I will report back if we get a bird.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So the idea is this is your wife's idea, so you can watch the birds.
Yeah, so I have it up.
Yeah, it's a female thing.
Yeah, because we have a.
There's no way you can keep a squirrel out. By the way, I don't care what people say. Squirrels are sharp.
Are they?
Yes. So there's no way that you can get a squirrel-proof feeder. It's impossible.
Well, we'll see. I mean, no one's eating this thing now. It's just basically sitting there on the window.
The squirrels haven't figured it out yet. You got a lot of squirrels around your place?
Yeah, we have a decent amount. Probably. See, the thing is where I put it. I don't know if they can get to it, the squirrel. Because
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ray.
I'm just curious how often you're looking at this, that you're this discouraged.
Well, it's in my family room window. So if I'm sitting there watching TV, I put it there so that you could be, oh, that's a cute little bird.
The squirrels can get anywhere. They're like the Walendas. Like they're high wire acts.
Yeah,
The
they are.
squirrels.
They are. They could do anything.
All right.
All right.
Back to
We'll see what happens. Great conversation.
All right, let's move on to the conversation of the Phillies broadcasters. Tom McCarthy. I like Tom a lot. Tom is a first name man. He's a first namer. I've never heard him say Real Muto.
He calls him JT?
He's a JT man. Conversely, when Segura was here, he would never say Gene. He would say Segura. So it crosses me up a little bit. He's normally a first name guy, except for certain players.
What do you think dictates it?
I don't know. It's interesting the way. Ray's a broadcaster. I don't know what dictates it. I've never heard him say Real Muto. I've only heard him JT.
The only time that I'd personally use first name would be if someone's known better by the first name.
Uh-huh.
Like when someone's doing a game and LeBron does something.
Yeah.
LeBron.
Yeah.
Even though I probably tend to go more last name anyways.
Yeah. But suppose you're a hometown announcer. Is it more appropriate to go first name or last name?
I'll call Mark Zumoff and see. That was my play-by-play professor.
Trey Turner. It'll always be Trey. I never heard him say Turner. Now Marsh would be. I don't know. You have to go around to each player.
Yeah, I don't think
they
don't call him Brandon.
Turner? You've never heard him say Turner.
It's usually Trey.
It's Trey.
Yeah, Marsh is always Marsh, not Brandon.
Is it the shorter name?
Is it? It's always Marsh?
I don't think he calls him Brandon. I haven't heard Brandon.
No, I haven't heard Brandon.
And then,
what about Stott?
Always Stott. They don't call him Bryson. So I guess it depends.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
Some guys have the first name Brandon, some don't.
Yeah, I can't say I picked up on this, so now I'm going to listen and
I do that all the time. I pick up on the patterns.
And they definitely call Rojas. They don't call him Johan.
No, they call him Johan.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah, he's the Johan.
See, now I got to go back and, well, we're not going to have to wait a while. But what do you think they'll call Soto when he's here? Juan or Soto?
I don't know. Good question.
Did you hear the audio from Scott Boras on Soto?
No.
I don't know if we could pull it, but essentially he's just said that Soto wants to play for an owner that's dedicated to winning, and that's going to give all of the resources to winning. Sounds like he was describing Middleton. Now, I don't think there's a chance Soto's coming here, but it sounded like he was describing
There's only
Middleton.
about 4 teams that can meet that price, so it's not.
Yeah, I guess it's time.
I mean, come on. just pick one of them because they're all aiming to win. If you have that kind of payroll, you're aiming to win.
Yeah,
so
I guess if you're going to
it's
drop
a safe
the cash.
thing for him to say. What are you going to the Pittsburgh Pirates? They're interested in winning. Is he going to sign there? No shot.
No. What do you think? If you had to put a percentage,
Yankees.
You think there's any chance he comes to Philly?
No.
I'm with you on that.
Mets are second.
Oh, if he goes to the Mets, Ray would lose his mind.
I would probably take a week off.
$500 million. Let's go to Weave in Elkton. Weave, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Weave.
Man, you came on me like right at the right time. Because you're talking about Soto, right? You're talking about that guy, man. He's probably trying to get out of New York. You know what I mean?
He's trying to get out of New York?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean,
why would he get out of New York?
All those free agents are trying to get out. You know what I mean? Because
I don't know what you mean at all. Those franchises can pay.
They can't win where they're at.
Why not?
The Mets. You're talking about the Mets, man. The Mets. I mean, the Phillies should have won that game.
Yeah, but they didn't, and the Mets are a pretty good team, and they advanced, and so why? They have the money. You got to put all this together, Weave. It's got to be a team that has the money.
I'm putting it all together, and I'm saying maybe the Phillies need a left fielder and a backup, another pitcher. You know what I mean? But you know, that's small beans. Because what I'm thinking about is, look, now you got Maxey hurt. What about the Sixers?
Well, what about the Sixers? We've been talking about them all day. What's your point here?
Why would you keep Embiid out the beginning of the season? I mean,
you know why they kept him out? They're preserving him. They want to reduce the season for him.
Yeah, but why couldn't he at least go out there and do something? I mean, is he at a point where he's like an invalid? I mean, come on, man. I mean, they had sanctions against Philadelphia where, you know, can you prove that he needs to be out like that?
Well, yeah, they proved it, or they've at least attempted to give an explanation for it. They did screw up and get fined $100,000 for their explanation, but
yeah.
But, listen, it's a really simple thing. this whole thing. They are trying to reduce the regular season for him with the intent that they preserve his health for when it's really meaningful in the playoffs. My answer to that, there's no guarantee, no matter how many games you preserve him, that's going to happen. And my other thing is it's an insult to the fans to think that they could just keep the star player away from starting the season. That has been my platform from Jump Street.
And I know we've talked about this a lot. But you think it was the 76ers who told Joel, you're not playing to start the year? Or do you think it was either because Joel wasn't ready, physically being not in shape, or even with the knee?
There's no excuse for him not to be ready.
I agree with you.
Okay, so
but you're saying that the Sixers intentionally said you're not going to start
I think
the season.
The Sixers could hover around him enough to get him in shape. They didn't care to do it, and he didn't care to do it either because of this concept is, well, if he plays early, we're going to mess him up for later. I think it's a faulty way of thinking, and that's what they bought into.
I just pray come Wednesday when we're doing this show, we're feeling a little bit better because Joel looks great on Tuesday night. I got to hold out hope. We got no other option now. We know it. This is what we got for the next couple of years.
His first game back, when they play him 20, he's not going to be on minutes restriction. There's no question about it. And they're probably going to lose that game because of that. Because now there's no Maxey.
Yeah,
and he's not going to play to the full extent.
Yeah, he'll be on a minutes restriction. He won't play Wednesday.
It'll be interesting to see what the line of that game's going to be. We'll get to that.
Yeah, it's probably not out
yet. A couple days.
Right?
No, it wouldn't be out yet. Joe in Philly, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Joe.
Hey, Mike, what's going on?
What's up, Joe?
Nothing much. I just been thinking, listening to you guys. Bill just posed a question about, do you think it's the Sixers that are saying, or that told Embiid to kind of take that seat? And I would say yes. This whole thing has been the Sixers. It was a big thing about before, the Olympics, should Embiid play. The Sixers is the ones who encouraged it or gave him the nod to play. You saw how he was a little banged up in the Olympics. So now to save face, well, let's just rest him. We don't want him to get because the first thing they're going to say is, well, why did he play in the Olympics? Why'd you let him play if he wasn't going to be ready for the start of the season? So now you have this try to save face with let us rest him, or then they tell him he's not going to play back-to-back. Like, and it's not. I don't think Embiid is the one deciding that I'm not going to play back-to-back.
No, he's the one that said it.
Yeah, he's the one that says.
So I don't think maybe their plan was not playing in the back-to-back, but they don't have to admit that. Joel Embiid's the one that said it.
Sure, I agree with that he said it, but I'm like, who's telling him that you're not well enough to play back-to-back? If Embiid showed us anything, that he has some type of competitive spirit to some extent, and he is very aware of what's being said about him. So if he's going to if he has any kind of brain, why would he say that, knowing that would affect him? As far as
I think he thinks he's got immunity with the fan base, that thinking that they're buying into the same thing. Preserve him until the playoffs.
Sure, and I just think that whole narrative has been brought on by just the Sixers organization as a whole, because they're putting Embiid and making him be the fall guy for a bad run organization that's been for the last couple of years. But now we can all be mad at Embiid and not take all fault on this poorly team that was put together by Daryl Morey. You see how they're playing.
Let me ask you this question, though, Joe. Doesn't the player have to be permissive to their attitude? Doesn't the player can say, no, I'm good. I want to start the season. I got myself in better shape. I lost all this weight.
So
he bought right into it.
But you're a man who's had quite some injuries. Just had your surgery or whatever.
Yeah.
Your doctor is now showing you all of these charts about you shouldn't move this way, you shouldn't do this way. Are you going to go on the radio and say, "Oh, I don't know what the doctor is telling me, but I'm going to dance around this studio as much as I can"?
Yeah. Well, here's what I know. I don't have a trainer with me 24/7. I don't have a facility that can rehab me like I can't rehab myself.
And it's not your only job to be in basketball shape. That's it. You're being paid to be in shape and be ready to play.
That said, I'm an idiot because 3 weeks after back surgery, I'm trying to play golf.
You are an idiot. But you did win the tournament, so it was worth any
by a miracle.
Issues.
I don't know how that even happened. 610-632-0975. All right, it is Dallas week. And
it's the day before.
In the 1 o'clock hour, we'll try to give you some facts and figures about this game. We're back after this. A little misspoke here, but we'll straighten this out right away with our guest here as we start the 1 o'clock hour. Eagles playing Dallas on Sunday. The man who covers the Birds for ESPN.com, and he's about to drop a story that clarifies this, I believe. Jalen Hurts' ankle hurt or not? Let's bring him in. Tim McManus. Hello, Timmy.
What's up, Mike, as the Eagles turn?
Yeah, well, okay, so let's straighten this whole thing out. So a little awkward moment there at the presser where he probably wasn't supposed to say what he said. What did you make of it?
So I have some reporting on this. I've spoken to a league source who says that Hurts has been dealing with a mild ankle issue for a couple weeks, actually. And it was a point of interest, obviously, because he was on the field in a limited capacity on Wednesday. He didn't go through any of the individual drills. He was just off to the side. He was actually out late to practice to begin with, had a conversation with Nick Sirianni, then joins the rest of the quarterbacks. But as a spectator, as the rest of the guys are going through the reps, he's holding back. When we talked to Hurts later that afternoon, he said that it was a rest thing. The injury report comes out and subsequently says rest. But as Sirianni kind of unearthed today in his press conference, there's a little bit more going on with him than just simply getting a rest day.
All right, so I was just looking at some video practice, and it looked like he was doing some drop backs. So what should we know about this thing?
Yeah, so I think that he's trending in the direction to play in this game. I mean, he was a full participant on Thursday. The expectation is that he's going to be a full participant again today, with the the clear indication that he's going to play against the Cowboys on Sunday. But it is of note, talking to a different league source, that the reason that he wasn't participating in those individual drills on Wednesday, Mike, is because they didn't essentially want him planting. They wanted to avoid what one league source described as lower leg soreness. They wanted to get that out, so they didn't want him doing a lot of the planning with his throws. But a source noted that later in the day, when they were going through the walkthrough, he was throwing the ball. So I think what we've seen is kind of like a gradual progress. And maybe both things can be true. Like, there is an ankle issue going on that they're trying to manage. I think that's pretty clear. The head coach said as much at his press conference. It's also true that they have 2 games in 5 days, right? I mean, they have the Cowboys, and then they have to turn around and play the Commanders, which is going to be a fight for the first place in the division. So, it's kind of both. Like, you're resting him, yes, but the reason that you're resting him on a Wednesday as you begin installation for a critical division game is because he's dealing with something with the ankle.
All right, so this is Dallas week. I've never seen a less excited week for a Dallas game than this one, and there's a lot of factors, but the main factor is that the Cowboys blow. All right, so we haven't had any juice happening here. Tell me what Eagle fans should be concerned about as they go into this game, with one team trending way up and the other just a mess.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Micah Parsons looks like he's on track to be back for this game, at least, it's something that needs to be in their minds, because while, you'd probably rather have Dak Prescott than Micah Parsons, all things being equal, I mean, he does, on the defensive side, he makes a huge difference, can wreck a game. We'll be going up against Fred Johnson for a lot of the snaps, and Johnson's been dealing with that knee injury. And so I think we saw last week, and Lane Johnson talked about this on a couple different times, of like, they basically let up against the Jaguars. And he said that a big point of emphasis needs to be like keeping that same type of mentality that got you out to that lead and finishing strong. He thinks that they're going to learn from it. But, we've seen time and time again that the NFL is full of the best players on the planet. Like, even a team that's having some struggles and kind of looks like a mess from the outside in Dallas, like, they still have really good players that can beat you if you're not on point. And so obviously that's something that they need to be focused on. They can't peek ahead to Washington on that Thursday game. It needs to be all eyes focused on the Dallas Cowboys.
Now, you have termed that Washington Commanders game as the game, right? Well, we will really get to know what the Eagles are all about, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that it's a huge matchup, and you don't want to take away from the 4-game winning streak that they're currently on, because they've shown some really good signs, like offensively, defensively, changing their identity on offense, like a lot of things to be really encouraged about. It just needs to be tempered somewhat with the fact of it's not like you're going against the top contenders in the NFC. or in the NFL in those games. But their metal's going to be tested coming up. I mean, they haven't won in Dallas in a long time. So first they need to take care of that. And then, they turn around and they play Washington. There's also games against the Baltimore Ravens and the Los Angeles Rams and the Steelers. So there's plenty of opportunities over the second half of the stretch to just sort of test this team and just see how legit they are.
And Tim, you talk about testing this team, and I just can't imagine that Sunday will be a test. The Cowboys have Cooper Rush, and I looked at it and I'm like, oh, okay, he's 5-1 in his career. And then I went and looked at some of those wins that he's had, and they were relying on a running game. They weren't relying on Cooper Rush to carry him. And you look at this Cowboys rushing offense, they're terrible. They're 31st in the NFL this year. So is there anything that Cooper Rush can do, or should Eagles fans be concerned at all that the Cowboys could pull this win out?
I mean, it really shows, I think, Bill, like the two different paths that the Eagles and Cowboys took this offseason when it came to running back, and that the Cowboys essentially didn't address it. Looked a little bit into Derrick Henry, from what the reporting of Todd Archer says. Not at all. It's Saquon Barkley. They end up riding with a group that certainly leaves something to be desired, and the Eagles kind of go the other way. They get Saquon Barkley, and it's been the Saquon Barkley show. But to your point, no, I don't expect Rush to go out there and light the world on fire. I think the offense was kind of sputtering even with Dak Prescott at the helm, and that's in part because they don't really have a ground game to balance everything else out, and there's CeeDee Lamb, and then who do you have after that kind of deal. So he's working with limited options. I mean, we'll call it like it is, and the defense for the Eagles has been playing really well. If you just sort of don't turn the ball over and put Cooper Rush in that offense in opportunistic situations where it's like, all right, if they're set up at the 20, at the Eagles 20, it's different than if the Eagles aren't turning the ball over and they're taking care of business that way, then I don't expect Dallas to do very much offensively.
And you mentioned CeeDee Lamb as being really their only option. Do you know, is Jonathan Mingo playing, the receiver they just traded for?
I did see that he was participating in practice this week. That's my expectation, is it'll probably get in there to some capacity. I don't know. He really wasn't doing a whole lot in Carolina. It's an interesting trade. And how fast can you get him up to speed? I don't know what kind of package he'll have, but my expectation is that you'll see him for some snaps.
I mean, you've been covering Sirianni now for a while. He usually takes you on a wild ride. This is a subdued Sirianni. I don't know if I like it, but it's clear that maybe they have buckled him down a little bit. Do you have any insight on that?
Well, I mean, I think we can go back to the Cleveland game and sort of the story sort of unfolds from there, Mike, where he was just like full bore Sirianni for that game, empowered by his players saying, we want the old Nick back, and he gave it to him and then some. So it's just like an unleashing. And, that turned out to not be the greatest thing in the world. He created a story that really trumped a win. And so I think he's dialed it back a little bit. But behind the scenes, I think really his focus has been, let me be myself more, like, to the players. Like, when I'm really excited, I'll celebrate a play with them. But the other emotional stuff, maybe it's not going to be directed towards a fan or a referee or something like that. It's going to be more internalized, behind the scenes, so that my players see that enthusiasm, but I'm not creating some kind of other controversy. So I think that's really the balance that he's walked and continues to walk. And listen, man, we're only halfway through this thing. We've seen some extremes here, so it's not like this story's over.
We have. All right. Last question is this: my colleague Bill has pronounced the Eagles already as Super Bowl contender. Are they there?
No, not for me. I mean,
come on, Tim.
Come on, Bill.
Come on. You look around the NFC. You look around the NFC, and how could you say they're not a contender in the NFC?
Well, because the story hasn't been written about this team yet. They stumbled out of the gate. People are talking about the head coach being fired. They go on a 4-game win streak against mostly also Rams. And now they're getting into a part of the schedule that tells you about the merit of this team and how strong they are. It feels really premature to go out there and be like, yes, these guys have arrived. They figured it out. I mean, I'm not going to deny that there aren't positive signs. The fact that the defense is up in the top 10 in a lot of these categories, like, all right, like that was a big question. Like, you think that the offense can figure it out, but does the defense have enough? The fact that Vic Fangio has been making some nice magic with them is certainly an encouraging thing. But no, I want to see it against Washington. I do want to see it against the likes of the Ravens, and then you can convince me. I don't need to jump to to some kind of conclusion now about this team's legit. Like they've said, to the last the last sequence with Mike. Like it's been up and down, man. Like this has been a roller coaster of a team, not just this season, but for the last 2 seasons. So I'm going to continue to just buckle in.
Yeah, Bill's all eagled up. It doesn't take much, by the way, Tim.
Well,
Tim's all eagled up.
Tim, when we speak to you a week from today, the Eagles should be 8-2. The day after they just beat the Washington Commanders, and we're going to ask you the same question. I think you're going to agree with me.
All right. Well, let's see what happens after 2 games. That's a bigger sample size against division opponents, against the team that you're trying to beat in the NFC East. So I'm with you. Maybe we have a different conversation then.
Tim McManus, covering Eagles, ESPN.com. Always a pleasure, Timmy. Take care.
All right. See you, boys.
We're talking to Tim McManus, who joins us on every Football Friday with some really good insights. See, that's why Tim's a good reporter. It's like he doesn't get carried away in Billisms.
Hey, I'm trying to be objective here, and I'm just looking around the NFC, and you just saw the Cincinnati Bengals offense look pretty damn good against the Ravens. Not so great against the Eagles a couple weeks ago. This team's the real deal, man. This team is the real deal, and fans should jump on now.
I'll give you these next 4 games. 610-632-0975. On the other side, I'm going to give Ray Dunn a chance to play his fight song.
Temple?
Yes. With nothing that had anything to do with Temple. But I think still he should play the fight song. It's the Mike Missanelli Show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Sean Kincade. Been holding court.
I don't think there's any way the Eagles can lose this game. I've tried to look at this game 100 different ways. I've tried to look at, it's home game. Dallas hasn't really been that successful. Maybe this is the game they're successful at home. Cooper Rush, he's kind of a mystery man in the Eagles. He usually plays well when he has to start. Maybe he's more of a game manager than Dak Prescott. Maybe they'll believe a little more in him. Maybe the Cowboys will stay close in this game. Can you really actually fathom that the Eagles, the way they're playing right now, could go to Dallas and lay an egg against this team that stinks? They're struggling. They got all kinds of disarray. The head coach is about to walk the plank. They've got no running backs to speak of. They only got two guys to catch the football for Cooper Rush. So I'm going, how is it possible that the Dallas Cowboys can win this game? They're a bad team. Right now, a bad franchise. I think they win this by double digits. So let's go to Mr. Football. Mr. Touchdown, as we call him around here. Bill Colarulo.
Mike and Bill have been pleading their cases.
Mike, normally I would say don't jinx it, but I'm with you on this. There's no reason why this Eagles team shouldn't dominate the Dallas Cowboys. We've been saying it for a long time on this show that the Cowboys weren't going to be a good team this season. They've proven that this year. And it's not just the offense. I know everyone's going to look at Cooper Rush and say they're without Dak Prescott. Their defense is terrible. And it sets up for exactly what the Eagles have been doing well, which is running the football. You're talking about a Cowboys defense that's given up close to 150 yards on the ground a game. They're not going to be able to stop this high-powered Eagles rushing attack that's averaging 175 a game. Simply that matchup alone, the Eagles should dominate. And then you go to the Cowboys offense, and they are going to have a backup quarterback. So what usually do you try to lean on with a backup quarterback? Your running game. The Cowboys can't run the football. There's no reason why the Eagles shouldn't go down there, dominate this game.
The Mike Missanelli Show Holding Court is brought to you by Grunko Law, your law firm when you need help because of an injury. We treat every case like it's Dallas Week. Pray for peace, prepare for trial. Now back to Mike Missanelli on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
All righty, the 1 o'clock hour of the Mike Missanelli Show is brought to you by Ferguson HVAC Line Conklin. You're an HVAC contractor. Equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job are available at their counter locations. They're in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. Yes, I've thought about the double-digit thing, and maybe it gets a little closer. This Cooper Rush could, pull some hair out of his butt, and when you least expect it, maybe they keep it close. There's no way. Like I would bet $1 million on the money line in this game. There's no way the Cowboys can upset them.
Hey, pull hair out of his butt? Is that an expression?
Well, I kind of embellished it.
I've never heard
I was
that
thinking
before.
hair out of a hat, like a rabbit out of a hat.
Yeah, but no, it was hair out of his butt.
Yeah.
I like.
yeah. I don't know. It makes sense to me when I say it.
Yeah, maybe you could pull some hair out of his butt. Keep it close.
But anyway, I mean, listen, we looked at the numbers, and the Eagles are averaging 24.9 points per game, and their third down offense is like 12th in the league. So it's 11. They're 11th in points. And Hurts is like, now here's the only thing. The ankle, will that curtail a couple of runs that he's had? Like last week, he had some good runs. I don't know. Will they be safe? Will he be safer? Maybe. Is it enough for them not to score? Probably not. A.J. Brown's going to play. The only hope they have is the sack on that. He did get sacked 3 times last week. And Michael Parsons will be in there. Maybe they cause some mayhem in there. But you're right. Their run defense stinks, the Cowboys. They're a mid-run defense. They're giving up 28 points a game, 31st in the league. Their red zone is worse than that. They're the worst in the league in the red zone against their defense.
Yeah, they let touchdowns 77% of the time.
They're just not capable of outscoring the Eagles. So, I don't know. I don't see this happening. All right, so we'll get to a couple phone calls, but I want to give Ray a chance here because I know that every Big Five team rejoices when a circumstance that like what happened a couple nights ago. Villanova loses to Columbia. Are you kidding me? Yeah. The Temple fans all over the world rejoice. They go, right?
There's a little smirk.
There's a little gloatish. Ray's a little gloatish.
There's a little smirk.
Boy, how the mighty have fallen.
They really
Jay
have.
Wright, what hath you wrought? What is going on? Would they lose by 10 to Columbia at home?
Ray, come on, Ray, gloat a little bit.
Ray, play the Cherry and the White song.
I'm glad this is the context that you wanted.
Here it is. It's a victory by proxy for the Temple Owls. Villanova losing to Columbia. And not only that, Columbia not only wins on the scoreboard, but they win in the SAT. Even though Villanova's a good school, we beat you in the classroom and on the courtroom.
Nova was a 17-point favorite in that game.
They lost by 10. Oh, you Cat fans.
Well, Neptune's got to be gone, right?
Oh, man, I do not feel bad for them. The once mighty Cats losing to Columbia.
They got to move on from Neptune, right?
Oh, it's an Ivy League school, scored 90 points on you. Seriously, what are you kidding me? That's almost impossible.
They're not a good team.
Oh, all right. I had to get that out there. Sorry. We digress. Mitch in Phoenix, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Mitch.
Let me slap my face so I can wake up. Okay, I'm ready. Did I hear you say that they're preserving Embiid? The only thing they're preserving him is in $1 million bills. That is it. There's no preserving for Mr. Embiid.
What are you even talking about?
Your
point doesn't even make any sense. They're preserving him in that they're not playing him, and they're preserving him for a playoff run.
Yeah, well, you think that, but I don't think the mass majority of basketball fans think that way.
Well, what are you thinking?
What am I thinking? I'm thinking the same thing that I've been thinking for 10 years. He's not going to do anything different than he did 5 years ago.
What does that have to do with preserving him? You made the point about preservation, but you're not backing it up with anything.
Well, you said they were preserving.
They are. They're trying to shorten the season for the guy so he doesn't have to play that many regular season games so he can be healthy for the playoffs. Can't you see what they're doing?
Yeah, okay. Well, let me ask you this. This is an easier question for you. What's the starting lineup tonight going to be for the Sixers? Name me the 5 guys that are going to start tonight.
Gordon, Paul George, Drummond, Oubre, and Caleb Martin.
All right, so how many points are they going to lose by tonight, the 76ers? I say a minimum of 14.
They probably will get hammered tonight by the Lakers. The line's 7.5. That's a double-digit probably loss.
And how much money did you say you were going to bet on the Eagles game?
$1 million on the money line.
$1 million on the money line.
Yeah.
You can back that up. Huh? Ever since you got that Popeyes commercial, you got $1 million to spare, huh?
No, I'm taking out a loan for $1 million, and I'm putting it in the shoebox. And when the Eagles win the game, I just collect it.
Wait, hold on, Mitch. Why are you saying the Cowboys are going to beat the Eagles?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. But you got guests that come on. They're not really sure how it's going to all pan out on Sunday. These people that don't think that the Eagles are a very good team and will smash the Cowboys on Sunday, there's something wrong with what they're thinking.
Well, then then why do you have a problem with my $1 million money line?
Yeah.
No, I like it. I like your.
Okay. All right.
I didn't think.
Sam, from week to week, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But I got it. All right, we're good. We're good.
I wasn't going to drink this weekend. Now listen to Mitch.
Oh, man.
I need a drink.
I wish he was able to elaborate on his point. He didn't get there. I didn't know what he meant with the Embiid.
They're preserving him.
But they're saying you're not preserving him. You're wrong.
Yeah, what is that? Why is that so hard to understand?
This is the prototypical Mitch call, where he swings and misses on the opening joke, and then you can never get back to the actual point.
It's the truth.
I think his opening joke was, I just slapped my face to wake up. I think he was taking a shot at us.
Taking a shot.
Yeah, and then he tried to follow it up with the preserve joke.
Yeah.
And both of them fell flat.
Yeah, guys like Mitch actually don't have any self-awareness. You know, like he thinks that, well, I schooled these guys today with my call.
Talk to you Monday, Mitch.
I got them today. 610-632.
Well, people are wondering if Mitch and Arthur are friends in Arizona.
I don't know. That'd be a good pair, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Correct. Yo, Mitch. Mike Missanelli show continues. Eagles get fined for that? Is that a fine coming?
I was just looking it up. It's not unheard of that you can be fined for giving a false injury designation. I think as long as he plays, I don't know. I'm not sure what the NFL will do, but you know how big this stuff is because with gambling and everything.
Yeah.
So you have to be forthcoming with injury news. So we'll see. Something to monitor.
You upset your bosses a couple weeks ago. They tried to subdue you. Now you're sitting here getting them fines. Oh, man. Even when he wins, he loses.
Will you leave him alone, Ray?
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's something
I'm the
else,
dumbest coach
man.
in the world.
Oof. Feels like that today.
He's something else.
Brandon, who runs our YouTube just now, I was walking past him back in, and he goes, Bill, are you going to give us some Sirianni love before the weekend? You going to hit the song? I said, no. Maybe on Monday. If they win.
They beat Dallas, you going to pull it out?
If they beat Dallas.
They beat that broken down team, you're going to bring out the song?
If they beat Dallas and there's no bad in-game decisions.
You have no shame.
You
got to wait till at least the Commanders.
Listen, dude, if they beat Dallas, as crazy as things have been this season with some of Sirianni's decisions and the injuries and all that.
I'm the dumbest coach in the world.
You'd be talking about a 7-2 football team. Look, before the season, when we did our W's and L's, I had them winning 13 games. People said, oh, you're crazy. Some people had them in the station winning 13, 12. I mean, it's realistic. You look at the schedule, there's no reason this team can't win 12 or 13 games. You figure Carolina's a win. The Giants are a win. The Cowboys may be 2 wins. Right there, you're at 11. It's 11 wins.
How do you feel about the Commanders? The Commanders could lose this weekend.
I think they could lose this weekend.
Could lose.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't. But how you feel about it? Both teams win Thursday night at home. How you feel?
I'm going to give the edge to the Eagles because it's a home game. Short week for both teams. Thursday night's always a weird game. But let's say they split with the Commanders, then I'm going to give them the home win. Which would mean, that's why I said to Tim earlier, McManus, next time we speak to him, we could be talking about an 8-2 team that's won both division or all 3 division games.
Let me ask you this question.
So much good.
Is it possible they could lose 3 in a row?
I can't imagine they lose.
After this game.
Okay, after Dallas.
After Dallas, is it possible they could lose 3 in a row?
Absolutely. Because you got Washington on Thursday, then you're at L.A. and at Baltimore. Mm-hmm. So you could possibly lose 3 in a row.
What would that do to you?
Well, then that would mean they'd be a 7-5 football team. Mm-hmm. They would beat Carolina, so now they'd be 8-5. I'm still feeling pretty good.
And the Steelers?
At home. 9-5. Then you got to go on the road to Washington.
I'm just trying to figure out where the Sirianni love comes in for you.
I think this team is not getting as much credit as they should get. I think they're a very good team.
Happen. I think they'll beat the Commanders, then lose to the Rams and Ravens in a row.
Very possible. Very possible. But if they did that, you're still talking about an 8-4 team down the stretch.
And then they would go.
They would beat Carolina.
Panthers, Steelers, Commanders, loss. See, there's another twosome. Steelers, Commanders, back-to-back situation.
And the Commanders game.
I think when you go into the 12-13, I think you're getting crazy.
You don't think this team wins 12 games?
13, no. I mean, 12, we'll see. Listen, we'll see. You already got him as the Super Bowl contender. I think it's way premature. I think Tim McManus agreed with that. This is a stretch that you really will learn about them. They've got bunch games coming up.
Well, don't take my word for it. I'm looking at the FanDuel odds. Second best odds in the NFC. Philadelphia Eagles to win the NFC Championship.
Well, they should have the second best odds right now.
They got the Lions at plus 210, and then they got the Eagles and Niners
the Commanders, because nobody is buying the Commanders totally yet as the second best team in the conference. So, yeah, right now the Eagles should be.
That's why I say they're a contender. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that they're a contender for the Super Bowl when you look at the NFC.
So that's a very broad statement you're making then. I want to get a little more specific. When you mention Super Bowl, you can't make a broad statement on that. Are you suggesting that they will win the NFC?
I'm saying that they are certainly one of a small handful of teams that could win the NFC.
Anybody could say that, Bill. That's not insight.
How's that not insight?
Small amount of of course, I can see a small amount of teams in the NFC that can get to the Super Bowl. Who are we talking about? I mean, we know Panthers aren't getting there. Just eliminate them all. Are the Packers getting there? The Vikings getting there?
I thought that I was the one that forgets to listen sometimes. If you've listened to me all week, what I've been saying was the reason they're a Super Bowl contender is look around the NFC. There are no dominant teams that this team couldn't beat in the postseason.
I agree with you. You did not say contender in the NFC. You put them in the Super Bowl realm.
Yes, because I look at the NFC and I say, all right, you got the Lions, you got the Niners, you have the Commanders, and you have the Eagles. I think ultimately the Commanders have a rookie quarterback. I'm eliminating them. I think the 49ers are going to have a tough time. They have injuries. I know McCaffrey's probably coming back, but I'm eliminating them, especially because they have tried to do something no one's done in 50 years, which is get back to a Super Bowl after losing. So now you got the Eagles and the Lions.
Vikings? Falcons?
I'm not buying the Vikings with Sam Darnold. I'm not buying the Falcons with Kirk Cousins. Good teams, not contenders. For me, the NFC will come down to the Eagles or the Lions. So, yes, they are Super Bowl contenders. Super Bowl.
Your thoughts, right?
Hey, listen, I think you are not giving them enough credit. Bill, when you're looking at the rest of the NFC, I think you probably are eliminating teams a little too quickly. But if we're talking contenders, from what I've seen, I feel a lot closer to the contention world than I do show me a little bit. Like, they've won 4 straight at this point. They've looked very good. It's been opponents that
I think they're contenders with the Lions right now, yeah.
So there you go. So you're declaring them Super Bowl.
I don't think they're the Lions, and I'm not mentioning Super Bowl. Being a contender to play the Lions in the NFC title game is not Super Bowl doesn't enter the equation.
See, here's what's crazy, and I know it's impossible for people to forget. But if the collapse of last season did not happen, everybody in this city would be declaring this team as a Super Bowl contending team. There's nothing that you could have said, if you watched this season, if you've watched all 8 games, that you could really come away from those 8 games and say, yeah, I don't believe in this team. The only game that they lost, clearly lost, was the second game of a back-to-back road game without 3 of your starters on offense in 150-degree weather down in Tampa. That's it. They beat the Packers. They should have beaten the Falcons if Saquon catches the ball. They dominated against other teams like the Giants and the Bengals and the Jaguars. They beat the Cleveland Browns. So you look at this season, the way it's going, how could you not feel good about the Eagles but for what happened last season? I'm talking to people, not just you.
Okay, all right. Let's go to Ish in Levittown. What's up, Ish?
Hey, how are you? How's everybody doing?
How are you?
Bill, I agree with you. They are Super Bowl contenders. Just basing it off, I don't believe in the Lions. We still got Jared Goff. They got a good running game, but that's the only team we really got to compete with in the NFC. I believe in the coaching. I believe in offensive line and our wide receivers, and our defense is playing great. So I believe we are Super Bowl contenders. And just one quick thing about Embiid. I don't think they're preserving him. I think just Embiid's hurt. I think we got to let up a little bit off of him and let him come back and play. And the other thing, the Phillies actually, from what I'm hearing, they're thinking about signing Anthony Santander and hopefully Max Scherzer. I wanted to get your opinion on that, Mike.
Where are you hearing that?
It was on Google.
There's all kinds of names that are thrown out there. I like Anthony Santander a lot, so yeah, I would be totally on board with that.
That's what I think too.
Now Scherzer, I don't know.
On a 1-year deal?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe if you pencil him in at the bottom of the order, I guess, but it doesn't float my boat that much.
Okay. Well, have a good weekend, guys.
Oh, look at Ish.
Nice call by him.
Look at Ish.
Is Ray, you're good with the baseball contracts. Now, the Orioles offered Santander a qualifying offer. So is he going to hit free agency?
If he declines it?
Because the arbitration was voided for this year, right? So he will become a free agent. So they could sign a guy like Santander. Santander, whatever. But if you did,
like the bank, Santander.
Yeah. If you signed him, is he your left fielder, or are you signing him to play right field and move on from Casty? Trying to get Casty in a trade.
I would imagine that they are not going to look at this outfield and say, let's remove, I can't believe I'm saying this about Nick Castellanos, the most consistent bat you have out there.
That is a wild statement, but it's the truth right now.
So I would imagine that they are looking left field, but that...
Now you got an issue, though, with your fielding out there, right? He's not a great fielder.
I think that they would move him in a heartbeat if somebody would take that contract.
I think they're willing to move off of him. Like the report that came out with Casty, Bohm, and Marsh, I think anything around those guys, I think that they're probably at least peeking into it.
Change for the sake of change is good. When you replace a guy who's a switch hitting power hitter, that's fantastic. And so you don't need Casty.
Oh, Santander. Listen, I'm in on Santander. They want to do that.
Yeah. So
not going to get.
I mean, Castellanos will become expendable. I know people go, put him in playing left field. Yeah, you can save yourself some money and address the bullpen if you try to get rid of that contract. So
I do like the idea of bringing in an Orioles outfielder, though, because that was such a smart move at the deadline by Dombrowski.
I can't believe that you're actually going to compare Austin Hayes. Have a little respect to what Santander did.
I'm kidding. He hit 44 home runs this year or something.
Yeah.
I don't want to relive
then don't.
Old time. I just can't believe that was the big move at the deadline.
It's the weekend, man. Don't ruin my Friday.
I know. Still upsetting, man. Still upsetting.
It's time for closing arguments.
Now, closing arguments on the Mike Missanelli Show. Brought to you by Lowenthal and Abrams Injury Attorneys. Injured in an accident, call 800-876-LAWYER or visit LowenthalAbrams.com.
Hey, what do you want me to say about this Eagles game, folks? The Dallas Cowboys are 29th in passer rating allowed against the quarterback who's really hot if his ankle doesn't get in the way this weekend. The Cowboys' run defense stinks. They give up a lot of points. Their offense is not that good. They've got a backup quarterback going. It has all the makings of an Eagle route. Now, I actually think Dallas will stay in it. By some miracle, some fluke, some quirk, Cooper Rush has some successful moments in this game. And the Eagles maybe win by a touchdown, which means they would not cover. After I originally thought this would be a double digit. I'm starting to rethink it. Dallas hangs in there. Eagles win. I would bet $1 million on the money line. Boom. End of story. Carry on.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I just can't see a path for the Cowboys to win this game. I don't think they're good enough offensively. They haven't been good enough defensively. This should be an easy win for the Birds now. Should doesn't always work out, but I just can't imagine a path that they don't dominate this game.
No path. No path. No path.
All right, dude. Well, listen, you have a great weekend. Ray, you have a great weekend.
Everybody else have a great weekend. Let's go, Birds. We'll talk to you Monday.